Once again, a very good morning. The essence of science is independent thinking and hard work, and it's not fancy equipments. Beautifully said by one of the greatest physicists of all time, Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman. To commemorate his discovery of Raman effect, for which he won the Nobel Prize in 1930, every year on 28th February, we celebrate National Science Day. So today, let's celebrate it. And I take the privilege of welcoming the dignitaries on the dais. Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President INSA. Sir. Professor. Yeah. Padma Shri, Dr. Anil K. Rajavanshi, the eminent speaker of this session. Welcome, sir. Professor Sanjay Puri, Vice President INSA. Welcome, sir. Dr. Rajendra Dhaka, Chair INYAS. And myself, Dr. Veda, Secretary INYAS. I welcome you once again. Dear INYAS colleagues, INSA fellows, teachers, students, ladies and gentlemen. So every year, National Science Day is celebrated as one of the main festivals in India to spread the message of importance of science and its application among people by displaying various activities, efforts, and achievements in the field of science for the welfare of human beings. Hence, the theme of this year's Science Day is Global Science for Global Well-being. So without any delay, with the permission of the chair, may I now request Professor Ashutosh Sharma to welcome the speaker of today's session with a token of love. Sir, it's really an honor for us to have you here. Thank you, sir. Now, may I request Dr. Rajendra Dhaka, Chair INYAS, for the welcome address.
A very good morning to all of you. Dr. Anil K. Rajvanshi, Chief Guest and Keynote Speaker of this event. Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President INSA. Professor N.K. Mehra, Vice President. Professor Sanjay Puri, Vice President INSA. All respected INSA Fellows. Dr. Arvind Ranade, Executive Director INSA. My INYAS colleagues, INSA Secretariat, all Sarans competition winners, students from different organizations, school, colleges, all guests present in the hall, colleagues who have joined through Zoom, and also participants joined through INYAS YouTube channel. On behalf of INSA and INYAS, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this event where we all are gathered, and we all are gathered here to celebrate this very important day. And you all know that the National Science Day is an annual event that is always being celebrated on February 20th in India to celebrate the discovery of Raman effect by Indian physicist Sir C.V. Raman, which of course influenced the scientific community largely. When India was, striving for independence, Sir C.V. Raman brought laurel to our nation by becoming the first Asian physicist to receive Nobel Prize in 1930, thus representing India to the global platform. Therefore, the day 28th February is dedicated to promoting the awareness and popularization of science among the public, and particularly among young students and young scientists, to encourage all age and to appreciate the wonders of science and to inspire the next generation of scientists and innovators. Today, we are celebrating the National Science Day at INSA, which is being jointly organized by INSA and INYAS. As it was well said by Professor Asutosh Sharma during our INYAS GBM recently, and also in yesterday's event of S20, that we should promote disruptive science for sustainability to allow young researchers to undertake challenging areas of exploration. Sir C.V. Raman is actually an excellent example of undertaking challenging tasks, which of course led him to discover Raman effect. His life was really inspiring to all of us. So let me tell you a little bit about his journey. And you all know that he has really a notable fact about the discovery and about his life. So Professor C.V. Raman's professional journey, which many of us probably won't be aware that he appeared in the financial civil service exam. And of course, this was suggested by his family, his father, and he topped in that exam and was appointed as Assistant Accountant General in Kolkata. However, he was having keen interest and curiosity in science, and of course in research. So that showed him the path to undertake independent research by taking out some time from his busy schedule. And more importantly, the time in the initial years he was giving was outside his normal working hours of his civil service duties. He continued his research work from Indian Association of Cultivation Science in Kolkata and produced research papers at that time. At the time of his first journey to England, he kept thinking upon one question: why the sea is blue? Which of course came to him from a very basic skill of observational mind, and thus questioning the reason for a particular type of observation. The Raman scattering, of course, we all use these days, has a series of applications in science and is being used extensively by scientists to understand the physical properties of technologically important materials. And this means that the discovery of Raman effect is playing an important role in developing the technology for society. In fact, the theme of National Science Day 2023 is Global Science for Global Well-being. As you also know that science accomplished progress in past decades, but the beneficially aspects of science to the society for well-being is still not evenly distributed. So we all are, being responsible scientific community, should ensure that knowledge is shared and communicated effectively by promoting open science and supporting science communication and outreach. Also, our scientific research should focus on important factors which are important for human well-being and for attaining the sustainability goals. Through scientific research, we find solutions for everyday problems and improving the quality of life for society. And as I said before, the main objective of celebrating this National Science Day is to ignite an interest in science, inspire people, and as I said, particularly young students, to perform new experiments and make them aware of the latest development in science and technology. It gives all of us immense pleasure to witness the continuous growth and diversification in science in our country. And in these lines, we will hear more from our chief guest. So without taking much time, let me stop here with a warm welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajan, for enlightening the audience. So as the academia teaches us to answer the questions, but very nicely he quoted the personal anecdotes of Sir C.V. Raman, that it's very important to ask questions. And I hope that will be one inspiration that you are gaining from here today. So now moving on to the next, may I now request the navigator of this ship, this family, INSA and INYAS, Professor Asutosh Sharma, to address the audience and share his thoughts.
I'm so happy to see all of you here on this very auspicious day, which is the National Science Day, which is celebrates the great discovery of C.V. Raman. I don't call him Sir C.V. Raman. By the way, Sir is not used anymore in independent India. Okay, we should call him Acharya or whatever, doctor, professor, something like that. But anyhow, that we celebrate the famous discovery, which is called Raman effect. There on this day, it was in 1928. So quite some time ago, that we, he got this inspiration, this eureka moment, if you would, of the discovery. So the question I ask myself, and you should ask yourself, what is the relevance of the times of Raman and indeed J.C. Jagdish Chandra Bose, for example, and all of these great people, the great scientists that the country produced nearly 100 years ago? What is their relevance today? If they had no relevance, we should not worry too much about it. We should just do, like should do puja and be done with it. But it is not puja. It is something, the world in which we live. That world, in fact, is the world of J.C. Bose and C.V. Raman. And the lessons that we can learn from their lives are as important and as relevant today as they were 100 years ago. So I want to quickly take you on that journey about what is it that we actually is relevant for us, is something that we can learn and something we can actually apply. And what is it that we are missing in our science? And indeed, if you want to create compelling knowledge, and then not only science, even if you're doing management, you're doing anything at all, what is it that we need to have in terms of cultural aspects, in terms of personality, social aspects, and so on, in order to do actually good work in any area of life. So I have a couple of things. What are the challenges of the future? I would not dwell into it, not much time. We will, of course, listen to our chief guest today, much longer time. So I would pass on that overarching challenges of the future that all of you actually would have to deal with. Rise of intelligent machines, sustainable development, how to get from creating knowledge to using knowledge, inclusion, diversity. I'll pass all of that. What are the strengths and weaknesses of our science today? I will pass that. What makes science and technology work? It's not just what we study in the class. We thought, when I was studying in high school, I was studying in college. So I thought, if I know what is being taught to me and I can clear exams with flying colors, that's the end of science and technology. It's not even the beginning. So what makes science and technology work is what I would, try to convey very quickly in 10 minutes. What is the mind which is needed to deal with the challenges of tomorrow? It's not the mind that cracks exams. It's the opposite of that, in fact. So therefore, I mean, of course, cracking exams is a necessary evil. Absolutely no doubt about it. You'll not go anywhere without cracking exams. But it's just the beginning. I mean, so we need to acknowledge early on that there's something else which is needed for us to be successful as a nation, as a scientist, that and so we would say, look, how's the world of science and technology today and tomorrow is actually the world of Jagdish Chandra Bose and C.V. Raman, right? Now, you see, you must have heard all these questions. I hear them day in and day out. People say, why are we followers rather than leaders? Why we don't take risk? Why, we say we better be safe than sorry, we keep saying. Why one is not connected to stakeholders of science, which is society. So there is science we do somewhere. And then we say, look, I mean, what is the meaning of doing all this? Why one is always negative and complaining all the time? Why does one have low self-esteem? Why there is little translation of science into society, in industry, in economy, and so on. And then people keep saying, why there is no Nobel Prize? Of course, long time ago, C.V. Raman got Nobel Prize. And we still, every room, every new, building in science, every new auditorium in science, all named after C.V. Raman, which is very good. I got nothing against it, right? But we have Aryabhatta, we have J.C. Bose, we have Raman, but nobody after that, right? So why is it that there are missing generations in science? We must ask this question. And the most, if you ask, an average scientist, he'll say, funding nahi hai, right? If you just give me 10 million more, then I will get a Nobel Prize. That's a total misunderstanding of science. Of course, one needs more funding. That's not going to solve our problem. Suppose with X amount of funding, you create zero. Then 2X amount of funding will be two zeros. Okay. I mean, it's very easy to understand logic. So therefore, what is it? What the hell is it that we are missing? I don't have time to get into this, but okay, let's forget about that. What I want to show here is that science and technology has cultural aspects, okay, which is not simply learned in a classroom. Okay, it is not about cracking the exams, but it's got cultural aspects, behavioral aspects, and so on, which have to be understood for anybody who wants to do great in life, whether it is science, whether it is anything else. So let's not worry about it. And let's not worry about this. So what I want to focus on are so what makes science and technology work? The first aspect is creating the knowledge which is relevant, which has direction, which is profound, which is some new ideas, so to say, which may even be taking risk, working on something big, right? So it's creating knowledge which can be either profound or useful. So you ask yourself a question: if it is not profound and it's not useful, there is no much point doing it, except get your next promotion. But after you get your next promotion, what then? I mean, why are we doing this? There's no reason to do it. Okay, and then so creating knowledge, that's called invention. The second aspect is using that knowledge, which is called innovation, which means that here I can use this knowledge, turn it into new opportunity, right? And that is innovation, using knowledge. Then, of course, policies and all that are useful to use science. The connect between education, skills, industry, society, government, all of that is what makes knowledge useful. But I want to focus on cultural and behavioral aspects of doing good science. So this is what we learn from these great people, J.C. Bose, C.V. Raman, as to how you are able to do good work despite constraints, right? And so I don't want to speak anymore. I want to let J.C. Bose and C.V. Raman speak for themselves. Okay. So here is what I picked up. So here, let's start with J.C. Bose, who is an older master than C.V. Raman and lived under even greater constraints because, there was a British rule at that time. There are no connectivity with, worldwide community of science and scientists. There were very little resources and nothing, everything you have to build yourself and stuff. So he said, let's say the best way to predict the future is to write it yourself with energy, with confidence and positivity. So he was inspired by the character of Karna. You all, Mahabharat, Karna influenced him deeply. He said, like that of my boyhood's hero Karna, my life has been one of combat and must be to the last. It is not for men to complain of circumstances, but bravely to accept, to confront, and to dominate them. Disruptive and creative, unconventional thinking is required, backed by evidence. Of course, it's not just some flight of fantasy, right? That we're talking about here. So he said, look, he said the telltale charts of my crescograph are evidence for the most skeptical that plants have a sensitive nervous system and varied emotional life: love, hate, joy, fear, pleasure, pain, excitability, countless appropriate responses to stimuli as universal in plants as in animals. At that time when he was talking about these things, it was such a revolutionary idea. People would, today just laugh at it and they, what the hell, you're a pseudoscientist, right? If you talk like this, I have the 90% scientists who don't know enough science, they would just laugh at you and say, this is all pseudoscience, right? So they're having that confidence and taking, very disruptive thoughts and presenting them. It may be wrong. I mean, no, that's not the point. I mean, nothing is really very 100% right or wrong. But the question is that you have a new compelling thought, which produces a new line of investigation. And we are able to do that not just as followers, but producing leaders in the particular area. And in fact, starting a new area. About reasoned optimism and justifiable pride. Capacity to endure through infinite transformation must be innate in that mighty civilization, which has seen the intellectual culture of the Nile Valley of Assyria and of Babylon wax and wane and disappear, and which today gazes on the future with the same invincible faith with which we met the past. So so this is not, saying, look, oh, we were great stuff. No, it is having a reasoned confidence that indeed there was something there, and that we are, proud inheritors of that a very long tradition of confidence and inquiry, and by which, that you can make your future. Importance of science communication, very, very important. I have sought permanently to associate the advancement of knowledge with the widest possible civic and public diffusion of it, and this without any academic limitations, henceforth, to all races and languages, to both men and women, and for all time coming. So here is a question of diversity, question of inclusion, very advanced for the age in which he was working, right? And saying, look, this knowledge is called democratization of knowledge today, which means that everybody has the right kind of knowledge that they can use. Being positive and conviction born of understanding. But the past shall be reborn in a yet nobler future. We stand here today and resume work tomorrow, so that by efforts of our lives and our unshaken faith in the future, we may all help to build the greater India yet to be. No, sometimes people are a little bit, reluctant. They say, hey, are you a nationalist? I've often seen it. Especially people going to English colleges and stuff, right? And so you start building actually a resistance and saying, do we identify with the society in which we live? Or do we identify, society, okay, also nation and stuff. All these guys were very proud. They were very connected with the society. Here, because of lack of time, we leave J.C. Bose alone, and we switch to C.V. Raman. Okay, what were his thoughts about the culture and behavioral aspects of doing science, of doing good science, if you would? So, it's about taking risk. It's about taking responsibility, saying, I am the master of my failure. If I never fail, how will I ever learn? Right? So there is no such thing as failure. There's only learning, both from what we call success and what we call failure. What remains in the end, the residue, is only the learning, the next step, if you would. There is no failure which is permanent. I'm sure people have told that. That's only half the truth. No success is permanent either. And so therefore, the learning is the only constant in going forward. Learning from failure, you can always choose who comes into your life and your circumstances, but you can learn what lesson they teach you. Okay, so every day that we live is a learning opportunity. There is nothing. I can go to sleep. I don't get good sleep if I not figure out before going to bed what is it that I learned today, which I did not know before. So this is to keep alive the mind, and doing any good science, not only good science, anything you want to do in life. Okay, this one is not alive. If one is doing zombie walk the whole day, there's not much sense in that. Power of ideas, most important. The essence of science is independent thinking, hard work and not equipment. When I got my Nobel Prize, I spent hardly 200 rupees on my equipment. Now, a lot of people complain, hey, if I had $1 billion, I'll get a Nobel Prize, right? It's just a lazy thinking. Okay, no amount of $1 billion will ever get you Nobel Prize or even worthwhile contribution to science, right? Oh, I'm not advocating that one should have only 200 rupees to do work. I'm not advocating that, but I'm saying there's something beyond it. And I think this is what we are lacking, is a power of ideas. Confidence is the key. I added this lose energy vampires. Okay, they suck not blood out of you, but all your optimism and energy out of you. We have, I think, developed an inferiority complex. I think what is needed in India today is the distraction of their defeatist spirit. Remember, he was saying that long time ago, right? So, do you see that reflection in today's world? That's the most important thing. Do we have relevance for, what they were thinking back then in today's world? Just watch your colleagues and yourself go to a conference and see where people crowd around most. Does it depend on the color of the skin of that person? Just watch it and you will get the answer to the question that I'm asking. Okay, so it's very important that we have confidence in ourselves, which is independent of what color, what geography, what great university or other university that you come from. Don't get carried away by saying, hey, this guy from great XYZ university, he's a Nobel laureate, he's Newton, so I'm greatly impressed. No, there's no need to be greatly impressed by anybody. So if you have the spirit of inquiry, honest inquiry and independent critical thinking, that's all that's needed, okay, to do good science. Democratization of science of power of mother tongue. We must teach science in the mother tongue. And now I'm recalling National Education Policy 2020, which says it's good to introduce science in mother tongue. And this is not a new idea. This is what Raman had advocated all his life. We must teach science in mother tongue. Otherwise, science will become a highbrow activity. It will not be an activity in which all people can participate. I feel it is unnatural and immoral to try to teach science to children in a foreign language. They will know facts, but they will miss the spirit. Now, this is actually, these points are very debatable. Okay, I'm not pushing an opinion here, right? All I'm saying is, look, here are things to think about and saying, look, how do we bring balance in all of these things and how do we do it? So I'm going to conclude. What are my take-home lessons from the life and times of J.C. Bose and C.V. Raman? There are a lot more, I mean, it's so interesting reading, right? Um, Meher Wan here is producing some very nice books. Meher, where are you? Where is Meher guy sitting? He sneaked out. Yeah. Look, he missed the opportunity. I'm advertising his books here. And if he's shown you that, you could order, you could sell some more. But anyhow, so I mean, to be interdisciplinary, to be multidisciplinary, we hear a lot of these things today, synthesis. They were all polymaths, which means do a lot of different things. I mean, now we have become very narrow in our specialization, very, very deep and narrow, which is good. We need to be that. But at the same time, be able to see other domains of knowledge and bring something new in your own area from there. And this is about connecting the dots which have not been connected before. Power of ideas, even in a world full of constraints of infrastructure, connectivity, and foreign rule. Positivity and confidence, energy and purpose, innovating new instruments as may be required. Not just today we say, if I import that equipment from here, I'll do it, but it will not be the right equipment for what you want to do. Sometimes and sometimes people just say, hey, I'm only a theoretician, I can't do experiments. No, I mean, a whole lot of the stuff you see, which are what do you call the distortions that have creeped into science. Confidence for risk taking, going against the grain, working for society, having pride in that, fusing of traditional and the current without abandoning the roots or being ashamed about it. Cultural keys of Atmanirbharta. You see, we talk a lot about Atmanirbharta, no, in science, in research, anything. These are the critical cultural keys. No amount of science and technology would ever lead to Atmanirbharta unless we have Atmavishwas, we have Atma Samman. Atma Samman means self-respect. And self-respect doesn't mean it's exclusive. I've never known a person who who doesn't have self-respect, who cannot respect others. Okay, it's just, it's like money. If I don't have it, I can't give it to you. So people who have self-respect alone can respect other people. Atma Chintan, which is a rational, passionate analysis of situation. Okay, not from my self-centered approach, but saying, look, what is scientific analysis, if you would, of who we are, where do you want to go, how you want to get there. So they have also been keen observers of nature, builders of institutions, administration, had appropriate mix of jugaad, dhanda, and panga. I don't have time to explain these, but anyhow, democratization of science and communication and holistic personality that integrates the different sides of the brain. Okay, very important. People get fanatical. People get fanatical only because they have no balance. Okay, so you think, oh, I should be extreme here, I should be extreme there. Then they keep fighting with each other. Don't waste your time fighting. No matter what opinion somebody brings, it's his or her opinion. You have your own stuff and don't lose energy, don't lose time. Just find your way and go across the world, which is like a procession in a narrow street. Don't waste time fighting with people. Just go around the crowd and make your exit. Thank you very much. Stop there.
Thank you so much, sir, for shooting from your heart about science and how the culture of science should be for tackling the challenges of future. So now the much awaited session. As an agriculture research scientist, it's my honor to introduce the speaker of the session, even though Professor Rajavanshi has already mentioned that make it very brief. So what can I say? Like, he is a mechanical engineer by profession, trained and a part of University of Florida, IIT Kanpur alumni. And as Professor Sharma mentioned, it's not the fancy equipments, even on shoestring budget, sir has developed so many technologies for rural India. And I think that's why he was bestowed with the 4th best civilian award of our country. Let's give a big round of applause to Professor Rajavanshi, Padma Shri Award of 2022. I think I don't need to say about the biography of him. That itself shows his credibilities. And may I now request Professor Rajavanshi to deliver the much awaited Science Day lecture, The Need of Learning Science for Human Well-Being.
Thank you, Anand. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and my young friends. In fact, I am really delighted and honored to be here. And when Ashutosh asked me, he's a very dear friend of mine, to come, I immediately said yes, because I enjoy talking to the youngsters, because you are the future of this country. We are all old. You will run this country. You will make this country a great country. And I hope that you will be so proud of it that you would not like to go abroad. How many of you like to go abroad? Honestly, raise your hands. Why do you want to go abroad? Great. Why don't you do it here? No, that is fine. All the great companies are being run by Indians. Yeah. But I'm just simply saying that for the future of this country, we should all strive to make this as a great and a nation where we all can emotionally satisfy our hunger and live holistically. I have tried in my own small way, and today I like to share with you that journey, and I hope it will inspire some of you to follow what I have done. The title of my talk, which was actually suggested by Dr. Rajendra, is the need of learning science for human well-being. In fact, you and I are here only because of science and technology. I flew on an airplane. I'm talking with you through this microphone. Each and everything that you do in this world is because of science and technology. So why hate that? It's not that you want to make this as a career, but it is to develop a scientific temper, to think deeply. And as Dr. Ashutosh Sharma said, to look at things very differently. And if we do that, then you may go into any sphere, any new development, whatever it is, but you will look at it from a very scientific point of view. And that is what we'll discuss. I run a small NGO with my wife, who is also here, Dr. Nandini Nemkar. It's in rural Maharashtra, where we do research in R&D in agriculture, renewable energy, animal husbandry, and overall in sustainable development. And I'll be delighted to have some of you youngsters come for internship for 4 to 6 months. Today is a National Science Day. Dr. Rajendra and Dr. Ashutosh have already suggested, celebrated because of equipment and ingenious methods, Raman discovered his Raman effect. In fact, he gave the first experimental proof of quantum theory. Quantum theory had already come out of Einstein, quantum theory had come out of Heisenberg, Bohr, everybody. But Raman's experimental work showed for the first time the whole basis of quantum theory. And that is the reason why he got the Nobel Prize. He was nominated by Lord Rutherford. Rutherford himself was a great experimentalist, and he was very inspired by very simple experiments, but a very deep thought. And this is what I'm going to talk about, that you develop this scientific temper by producing a deep thought. That is the basis of whole our yoga. That is the basis of Patanjali's yoga. Deep thought on any subject for a long time produces complete discoveries, and it gives you a very high. And that is what is the basis of humanness. And I think you will enjoy. And I'm sure that when you do something really thinking very deeply, you're not concerned about the time, you're not concerned about the output. It gives you a very nice feeling. And that is the scientific temper. Raman and K.S. Krishnan, his co-discoverer of this effect. But now Raman got the Nobel Prize, but that's a very different story. And Rutherford nominated him, and he was Asia's first Nobel awardee. Interesting thing is, Raman developed his or discovered his effect in 1928. And in 1930, he got the Nobel Prize. It was one of the fastest Nobel Prize given to anybody. In fact, there are people who had worked for 40, 50 years ago. They are almost tottering, about to die, and then they give the Nobel Prize. In my University of Florida, I had a great distinction of interacting with a lot of Nobel laureates, interaction with my colleagues who were on the Nobel Prize committee, and I should discuss. And another thing is, we somehow get too much carried away by the Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize is something else. What you should be looking at is how you will develop science and technology for the benefit of this country. Nobel Prize will come. Prizes will come. Nobel Prize today is given for very, very narrow discoveries, because what is useful for the Western countries is what is normally, because Nobel Prize. So I used to discuss, and I digressed with my friend who was a member of the Nobel Prize committee. He said Nobel Prizes are given because of politics. Everybody has a champion. They keep on championing your discovery. There are big meetings and the discussions, and depending upon who is more powerful in that discussion, you get a prize. Don't be carried away with that. Do something wonderful with your life. Do something great. Try to solve the problem which exists 6 feet from your nose. And that is how we'll build this country. That is what Gandhiji taught us, that you change yourself, you change the things around you, and the country will become great. So if you do some things beautiful with your life, with thinking very deeply, then you will do something great. And Nobel Prize will come, Nobel and other prizes. There are too many other prizes also equivalent to Nobel Prize, but Nobel Prize has its own charisma. So don't be carried by that. History of civilization is a history of science and technology. You read the history, and you will find that whoever had the better forces won the war. How many of you are historians? How many of you read history? Have you read the history of India? I would suggest, and I'm not taking any isms, etc. Please read The Discovery of India by Nehru. People don't read that. It's a very pan-historic process. During the COVID time, I reread it again. It's a very remarkable book. He was a great writer, and it will give you a very nice historical point of view. All the wars are won by forces which have a much more better science and technology. In fact, how many of you read real Mahabharata? Okay. So when it was decided that the war will take place, naturally it was a Krishna Leela. He was involved in everything. So every forces started coming and talking to him. Sir, we will help the Pandavas, he used to ask them, fantastic, and he was afraid that they might not come with Pandavas, but they will go to Kauravas. He made them destroy that. Throughout the history of mankind is a history of science and technology. Today, we don't need to go for these wars. In fact, I think as we evolve, we'll also become hopefully spiritual, that we will not wage wars, but we will wage a different war over poverty, war over stupidity, war over andhavishwas, so that we become a very great nation that we were, because some of the greatest philosophical thought of this world has come from India. And that is what I think the future of India is. And that is how we will become Vishwaguru, as our Prime Minister talks about. Vishwaguru will come when we combine the modern science and technology with spiritual thought. And that has been my basic idea. That is, I have written about it in hundreds of articles, and my book is on that. So we will become great. Our resources, you are the resources. You as a young scientists, as youngsters, are our best resource. And if you do something wonderful, this country will become very great. Science and technology will propel us to greatness and well-being for all. We need to create great scientists and engineers. The father of hydrogen bomb was my colleague in University of Florida. It was not, what was his name? It was Stanley Ulam. Stanley Ulam's paper gave finally the final swarup of the hydrogen bomb. So I used to discuss, naturally he was a very great scientist, very great mathematician, but he was also very fond of the Indian philosophy, and I being the president of India Association, so some connection was there. And I used to always ask him, why did he get involved with atomic energy, with atomic bomb? Because he was a very close friend of Fermi, and all of them were very important part of the Manhattan Project. Have you heard about Manhattan Project? Atom bomb? So Manhattan Project he played a very important role. And he used to tell me that we did that for science and technology. We never thought where it will be used. We never thought about the consequences. It was a great challenge. We were interested in developing a totally new area because nobody knew about it. And that is what is a scientific temper. So in whatever way, whatever thing you do, whether cooking, whether playing sports, there is a scientific temper. Go deeper into it. And when you do that, it is a very challenging and very nice feeling that you will get. Science is understanding of nature and world around us. It's driven by curiosity, as Dr. Sharma said. Be curious. In fact, nowadays, I give a lot of lectures because that's the reason why I'm always attracted to the youngsters, because to me, you are the future of this country. So I give lectures into some of the most small villages in the schools, because I feel that everybody can be a great scientist or a great technologist and a great person. And I always tell them, just be curious. Curiosity is something which has been stopped in this country. You ask a question and immediately the teacher might say, stop, you read your book. That is should not be aim. Be curious. Ask a lot of questions. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. My mother used to always tell me that don't get your hair cut on Saturday. And she said that because on Saturday this happens, that happens. And I made sure that I get my hair cut on Saturday. And I used to always ask, why? And nothing happened. Be curious. You can do anything. And that curiosity, following your curiosity, looking deeper, it will also make you fearless. And when you become fearless, you can do wonderful things. In fact, the whole world has been driven by people who are fearless. When Einstein developed his theory, it was a totally fearless man who ventured into areas which nobody had ventured. The whole discovery of science and technology is a history of very fearless people who ventured ahead. Ask questions and have acute observations. How, why, and who about a situation should be asked. Darwin wrote once that not only a great man should ask very intelligent questions, but he should also do his homework and try to provide the answers. It is not necessary that you provide always the correct answers, but focus on finding the answers. Because when you start finding the answers, then your questions also sharpen. And that is the whole basis of discovery. Science allows us to create a worldview. In fact, all around us, you look at things, you try to analyze, and you try to see how they work, try to put that in the mathematical form, and try to solve those mathematics. And then that solution should match with the actual observation. In fact, it's very interesting that there is one sutra in Patanjali Yoga which says similar thing. And that is the reality. And I think if we do that, we also explore the truth. And the most important thing for every young student scientist is to search for truth. Tell the truth. If you do not tell the truth, if you do other things, then that is not a very good thing. And all great discoveries have followed this route. And greatest benefit of science is it allows us to predict, control, and use for our benefit. All of you have gone through force is equal to mass into acceleration, isn't it? This was developed by Newton. Now, can you imagine if you did not have this equation or you did not have this, you would have been doing hundreds of experiments just to find out when you put certain force, what is the velocity of that particular object. Science allows us to predict, to extrapolate, and it gives us a great power to manipulate. Now I'll tell you a little bit about my scientific journey. It's basically a Junoon. I have followed all my life Junoon, and that is what I am going to try to tell you, that you should have Junoon in your life. And if you have Junoon, is it all right if I talk in English or Hindi mein bolu? Okay. So the Junoon is something that you are at the right age, develop that Junoon. And if you develop that Junoon, then you can really do wonderful things in your life. I was born and raised in Lucknow, and I was very inspired by steam engines. Anytime anybody came to our house, we had to go and receive them at the railway station. So my parents would be receiving them, and I would be standing next to the steam engine, mesmerized. And that is something that really made me go and become an engineer. Then my father went to jail with Gandhiji in 1942 movement. And naturally, he was very inspired by that movement. And on my 13th birthday, he gave me a biography in Hindi of Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography of truth. And I was totally mesmerized by that. It was like a switch. And this opened up a whole new areas. And I started reading about the spiritual books. Lucknow had a fantastic library called Acharya Naren Dev Library. Is anybody from Lucknow? Okay, he's my friend. Dr. Love Verma is a distinguished bureaucrat, retired as a secretary to the government of India. So we both are from Lucknow. And it allowed me to read all these books. And it was a very great thing at the age of 14, 15. And I feel that reading is the most important thing. You may read anything. It allows the movie to start. It allows a tremendous imagination. Please remove yourself from this social media. How many of you have ever done this work of finding out how much time you spend on your mobile phone? How much time you spend? No. I don't believe that. That's not the right. I don't believe that. Just write. It's for your own thing. Write from morning till evening for 15, 20 days, how much time you spend on the social media, and you'll be surprised. WhatsApp is also social media. So all these things, if you do that, you'll find out, because this has given us a very strange thinking. We have become reactionaries. We only react. If you send an SMS and you don't get a reaction, you are like a fish out of water. You are continuously, why this has not come? We have stopped thinking. Human brain is one of the biggest marvels of this world, and we don't utilize it because we are all the time reacting. And when you react all the time, this contemplation, thinking, etc., which makes you what you are, is all gone. And this creates anxiety, this creates fear, this creates so many things, the whole spectrum of emotion. And please get away from it. Reading is the most fantastic thing. Reading allows your brain to articulate, to think about in a certain manner. It starts a movie, imagination opens up. Social media is not bad, but do it for a very short time. And I think that is the whole basis of a scientific temper. How you focus and produce a very deep thought is what you should do. Then I wanted to go into IIT Kanpur, got very high JE position. I've written about it in this blog. There was Janoon for knowledge. And one of the most important things that I did in IIT Kanpur in those times, it was a 5-year program, and I took 9 courses in humanities. So whatever I am today is because of the humanities courses. And I think that humanities is something, even if you are in the scientific stream, etc., please read humanities. It gives you a well-rounded personality, and that is the best thing that can happen. Oops, what do I do? How do I get out? Okay. So easy. Then I went to the United States, got involved in large number of areas, thirst for knowledge. Money somehow never entered the vision field, because when you are thinking on a higher thought, all these pinpricks go away. Did my PhD in 1979 from University of Florida. It's a good university. Today it's one of the 5th highest university in the United States in public universities. Taught there for 2.5 years, and also met my wife. In fact, I think that is the best thing that happened. She is also a distinguished alumna of University of Florida. She did her PhD in agronomy, and in a fit of madness and arrogance came to rule India. Actually, that I always say, but I think large part of it goes to my wife. She said, I'm going, you come or not. And I think that is the most important thing. Find a better half who will always want to come back. I had, in fact, large number of Silicon Valley's owned or run by my classmates from IIT Kanpur in those times. And before coming from United States, I went to all of them and I said, let's go. We'll do something wonderful for our country. So immediately they made a list. They said, we don't get there, we don't get this, we don't get that. So I said, we are not going to India to get all these things. We're going for a higher purpose. So I feel that if both of you are, if you have a better half, if you both are interested, then that I think will be a very positive thing. Madness that I will do wonderful things with my engineering knowledge, not knowing the ground reality. Initial months were very tough. But once I did, and I'll tell you, arrogance that I will change India. It was this, you at this age, you're very arrogant. And I've written about this in my book, 1970s America. Read about that arrogance. How stupid I was. India is one of the most ancient society of this planet Earth. And how idiot I was that I'll change India. India did not change. It changed me. It made me humble. I found out that the problems of rural India are such that for 7 generations, I or somebody else cannot solve it. It taught me spirituality and it taught me sustainability. That to live in rural India, you have to do this. And it gives you a different sense and different feeling. And all my life, this is what I've done for the last 40 years. I've looked at technology, I've looked at spirituality and sustainability. And I think it gives a very nice feeling. I don't make money. We both, when we came back for 3 years, we were driving our bicycles. Everybody used to laugh in Fulton that they have been for such a long time in America and now they drive bicycles. But that should not bother you. What should bother you is your own feeling, thinking, and what gives you happiness. So one thing I have learned, be foolish. Wonderful things happen when you first jump, then find out where you are. Be fearless and believe in yourself. When I came back, my father said that you were the biggest fool. I sent you to the best schools in Lucknow, to IIT Kanpur. He didn't send it, but that's what he said, being a father, and to United States. And now you come to this whole place. Fulton was a place where, to make a long distance call, I would hop on the bus in 1980s, come to Pune 4 hours and make phone calls. So that was Fulton. But once you jump, you think where you have come, you want to make the best of it. So I stuck. And it has not been a bad journey. I run a small NGO in rural Maharashtra. It's called NARI. NARI is Nimkar Agriculture Research Institute. It was started by Nandini's father way back in '68. And Mr. B.V. Nimkar, he was also Padma Shri. He got in 2006 for starting the institute, for doing a lot of work in agriculture. We do research and development in agriculture, renewable energy, animal husbandry, and sustainable development, and try to use the best tools of science and technology for solving rural problems. Focus on technology development and extension work. We have 100 acres of farm and total staff of 30 to 35. It keeps on fluctuating. And we are always looking for good people. And I'll be delighted to have some of you smart people who want to do something wonderful in life. I'm not asking you to spend all your life, but come and spend some time. Know what exists in rural India and try to use your knowledge for that. Details on our website. Now I'll tell you, we talk about curiosity. How the curiosity-driven R&D that I did. When I came back from United States, most of the times there was no electricity in Fulton. So I used to study, or in our house, we used to have these lanterns running on kerosene. And I started thinking, see, the curiosity helps you do a lot of things. I started thinking that why nothing has been changed in the last 100 years. These kerosene lanterns were developed in around 1860, 1850. So we started a program on improving the lanterns. And the improvement of the lantern, I think at the time, probably that was the first program anywhere in the world on how to improve these lanterns. Then I started, because curiosity, I said, these were all kerosene lanterns. So the kerosene was very dirty fuel. So I said, can we produce a fuel ourselves, which we can put in this lantern? It will give light and also produce. And we started a very major program of producing ethanol from sweet sorghum. Ethanol, up till that time, had not been thought as a cooking and lighting fuel, but we started that. Now it is a very major program in Africa and Latin America. And that was something that came from our work. So we developed, I show in the first slide, this lantern was, then we developed a land stove. So when we did a lot of things, we combined the lantern with the stove running on ethanol so that the heat of the light could cook a complete meal for a family of 5. And we tested in a lot of huts and etc. So land stove development. And then when we were working, you see, again, the curiosity, when you are working with these poor people, then I started seeing how poorly they ate. And we looked at what they ate, what exactly they were spending in those, this is almost 10, 15 years ago. They were spending around 300 to 400 rupees per month on medical bill. For a poor person, the best medicine is food, not medicines. It's for rich people like us who are fat, who need medicines. But for a poor person, if he or she gets a good food, then that is the best medicine, because the whole body then becomes immune and good, very good. And this helped us start a program called Rural Restaurants. And you must have heard about the Amma's Kitchen in Tamil Nadu and Shiv Bhojan in Maharashtra that came from our program, which started in 2012. So I'm just simply saying that if you have a curiosity, we are a very small institute, but you can think deeply and inspired by C.V. Raman with very simple equipment. As you said, 200 rupees. It's very simple equipment, but a deep thought. And you can do wonderful science and technology. You don't require anything. Just look at the problems around you. Try to see how you can solve that. And today, the amount of knowledge available on the internet is so much. Utilize that, and you will be able to do wonders with the knowledge. Then when I came back, the whole Maharashtra, even today, the Faltan is in the Western Maharashtra, which is a sugar cane growing area. So after the sugar cane is harvested, what is left behind are the leaves. And farmers want to immediately remove all those leaves because there's a disposal problem. And because they want to have the field ready for the next planting of sugarcane. So they burn the leaves. It's a huge pollution. In Delhi, you all live, all around the agriculture residues are burned. So in 1980s, we started this program of what can be done about these agriculture residues. And this helped us develop a Taluka energy program, which was run by Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, and we are very proud that it helped start the National Biomass Power Policy. So a very small institute working in shoestring budget, but thinking about the actual problems, you can do wonderful things. And you don't have to have very big funding from government, etc. Just, I personally feel that all of you, today we are talking about the startups, etc. Each one of you should become a startup in science and technology, trying to solve the problem of your local thing. This will be a great thing for you to do. And if you do that, then it will give you the purpose of learning science and technology and doing something wonderful. Then loose leafy biomass gasifier, we were the first people to start that program. And then I come from Lucknow, and I was always very disturbed by the fact that the poor rickshaw puller is pulling you on his own power. So when the time came, I started the work, and this was the first electric rickshaw anywhere in the world. So very proud. Today, all the electric rickshaws that you see probably came from our work. This was started in 1995 when nobody thought about electric rickshaws. We developed the first electric rickshaw, not only in the country, but in anywhere else. So I'm simply saying that wherever you may be, and I don't have too much money, etc., but think about the problems and try to solve them. Most important thing is have perseverance. I have lived in that place for 42 years. People said, how could you survive? I survived because I started thinking about other things. And spirituality is my also another forte. I write a lot. Narayani Ganesh is sitting here. She was the editor of Hindustan of Times of India, and she was the editor of Speaking Tree, and she made me very famous because all my articles were carried by her, and it gave me a tremendous joy and satisfaction. I write a lot, and I think that writing has come from the humanities courses that I took. So I'm simply saying that whatever you do wonderful things, but also communicate. Communication is the most important thing for a scientist. In fact, I had been inspired by what was the name, Nandini, that famous scientist who's communicate the cosmos, Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan used to be there when I was in the United States, and Carl Sagan made the whole cosmos, program in PBS. It was a fantastic program. A lot of scientists were very anti because they said that Carl Sagan has become very famous, but Carl Sagan did a great service to science and technology because he communicated. So all of you, no matter what discoveries you do, communicate. Communication is the most important thing, because what is the purpose of your doing anything if you don't communicate? I write a lot. In fact, people tell me that I'm a big show off because whatever I do, I write. I write because I will forget. And I think this goes into a nice archive of the human knowledge. And I think that's what it should be. I have written up all our inventions in this book, Romance of Innovation. All my books are freely available on the net. Please read them, and I think you will enjoy reading it. Our latest work is on providing clean water for rural schools. when we started looking at some of the things, we found that the rural schools had very bad, very poor water. The children were suffering from diarrhea, typhoid, etc. And we said that we developed a technology for solar cleaning it. We developed the rainwater harvesting. We combined that, and we would like to put this now in the Fulton schools. This is a project we have gotten from Tata Sons, and I would be delighted if some of the schools in Delhi also put this as a part of the clean water. And the most important thing is that we are producing the modules for teaching the children, because children will learn much more by hands-on in knowing about solar energy, rainwater harvesting, and cleaning water. How to test the water. And when you actually do it, you learn your science and technology much better. Some impact of our work: 2,500 megawatt biomass-based power plants were based upon our work. National sheep twinning program based on our animal husbandry division. Use of sweet sorghum for ethanol and syrup production in India and also in the world. And e-rickshaws concept. Then the use of ethanol as a household cooking and lighting fuel. We have a very stringent excise laws in this country. So when I got the very big award in Stockholm, we were two of us. The other was Tesla Motors, and we were the only NGO to get that award. So it was given by the future Queen of Sweden. And after the award, the government of India said, "What can we do?" I said, "We'll do it in 100 huts." The excise people came. They said, "Even if the God gives you permission, you'll have to take excise permission from us." And it is not allowed to utilize alcohol for cooking and lighting, but it is a very big program in Latin America and in Africa. Then rural restaurants concept gave rise to Amma's Kitchen and Shiv Bhojan. And the most important thing is all our work in the last 40 years have been done in less than 10 crores. And that is the frugal innovations. And I think you don't require too much money. What you require is a deep thinking and a desire and a great curiosity on how to solve that. We got many national and international awards and 2 Padma Shris in the small NGO. Now, anything you do in your life, you can do with science. So for cooking, I take great pride in I'm a great cook. I do a lot of cooking. And there's a great science of cooking. How many of you cook? Men, I'm asking one. Wonderful. So 4, 5. Think about, why do we need to know the science? Because it allows us to manipulate. I make 15, 20 different types of omelette. Not that not in recipe. Some people have said I should. So I always used to say that if I fail in my technology work, I'll open up a restaurant because I think it'll do well. Whatever you do with passion. Think about it. And it's a great thing to do. And science, today is a multi-billion-dollar science because the flavors and nutrition, everything is looked at from a very scientific point of view. And if you want to go into this is also a very great thing. Then I'm sure everybody plays. There's a great science in sports. And in fact, the reason why so much science and technology is there because they make better and better sports equipment. And I show this evolution of a badminton racket. And I have played with 3 rackets on the left side when I was young. And they used to always break. After some time, if you hit a very shot with a very tremendous power, it broke. But today is a very nice new type of metal, very lightweight, different materials, carbon fibers, so many things. So everywhere you do, there is a science required, science needed, and science is used, and it gives a very big industry for the equipment, etc. How many of you would like to go in non-science area? You are all scientists. None? Yeah, there's a lady with the back. You see, if you do deep thought, it will give you also all the great people were also Renaissance people. Da Vinci. Do you know that Newton spent 50% of his life in metaphysics? All his work of the great gravitation and great things came just by the time he was 40. And rest of his life he spent in metaphysics. He has written a huge amount of material on the whole basis of this nature, world, Genesis, everything. Because as a great scientist, he also started looking at it. What is the purpose of life? What is the how exactly? And he used to hide it at, but now the books are available. And if you go on the internet, you can get those books on the as a PDF file on what he did. Da Vinci again was a Renaissance man. Everything he touched, he did from a very scientific point of view. In fact, his drawings of the human anatomy are remarkable. Please look at the books of Da Vinci. These are, you all know about Faraday. You read, how many of you really read the books of Faraday? Why not? No curiosity? Or just because somebody teaches in the class? His books are priceless. You read those books. They are all available from the United States, UK libraries, or on the internet PDF. Remarkable. He looked at everything in life. In fact, I consider him one of the greatest experimental scientists of all times. Bigger than Edison, bigger than anybody else. Everything, in fact, large number of, I'll give a full 1 hour lecture only on Faraday's inventions. Please read that, because you will get, and another thing is that some of these great people ask some very fundamental questions. And in those times, those questions could not be answered because the technology and the science was not developed enough. But those questions are as valid today as they were at the time. So when you read that, you will be amazed at what they ask and try to solve them. And that is how the science and technology will go forward. And that is curiosity. Einstein was a great violinist. Planck was a pianist. In fact, Einstein and Planck used to give concerts together. And have you heard about Brian May? You're not modern people, eh? Great guitarist of the Queens, and he got a PhD in astrophysics. What I'm simply saying is that science helps in creativity, and the beauty of art and science mingle easily and effortlessly. How many of you have seen Saraswati, the photo of Saraswati? What does Saraswati have in her hand? Why? Because science, art, knowledge, they all go together. When you become creative, creativity extends into everything. And music is a great form of creativity. So do that, and you'll feel very happy about these things. Besides my technical work, I also have an interest in spirituality. As I said, this gave me sanity. So when the things were tough, I would write on these things. I have written more than 200 articles and 2 books. And I would like you to, because I have made them available on the net, read them. And I think that will be, what is the purpose of life? Why you are here? What should we do? What can all of us do things to make us happy? Because happiness is something that we should all be looking at. And I write a column in daily Sakar. Sakar is the largest newspaper in Maharashtra, and they have given me a column every Sunday. And I write on the issues for young children, teaching and what they can do. So this is very nice. And finally, science should be hobby and fun. Have you heard about Langmuir? Langmuir was the first industrial chemist to get the Nobel Prize. I became very interested with him, with his biography, his philosophy, and I had a great satisfaction of interacting with his right-hand man called Schaefer. Schaefer, the cloud seeding was done by Schaefer, basically. Schaefer was a high school graduate, and he did a lot of discoveries with Langmuir, and nobody accepted, because American science and technology establishment is also very, very the Taliban type. But then the Langmuir made sure that Schaefer got honorary doctorate, and then everybody agreed. So Schaefer and I corresponded a lot, and the greatest thing was all the time. Today this we have these LEDs, etc. But we talk about light bulb. Who invented light bulb? Huh? That's wrong. Anyway, who really made a light bulb? Huh? No, it was Langmuir. Langmuir got his PhD in Europe, and he somehow got into General Electric. The whole basis of R&D in industry was started by Langmuir. So Langmuir came to General Electric. General Electric told him that you are a PhD in chemistry. Try to see how can we make this bulb last longer. Because what Edison had developed was it was to last 80, 90, 100, 200 hours. And he always kept on saying that I could not have it last longer because I could not pull the vacuum. And Langmuir also started that because General Electric had a lot of very good labs and workshop, and he failed. And then he realized that there was something else which was happening. And when he and I have written a autobiography of Langmuir, which was published in Resonance. In fact, Langmuir's grandson wrote to me that this is the best biography that he has ever read. So I felt very happy. And in which he found out that if you put inert gas, the bulb will last forever. And so the real electric incandescent bulb, the originator is Irving Langmuir. The reason why I'm telling you is that General Electric used to always say, please keep on having fun with your science. It is our job to see how that fun is translated into dollars. And that was a great combination of science and technology and manufacturing. And I think that is what we should, our companies and our captains of industry should do that. And you as youngsters, when you go into any industry, think about that, because you can change the system from below. So that is why I'm saying that science should be hobby and fun. Follow your interest deeply, will create genuine and lead to scientific temper. Genuine helps in creating focus and concentration and brings in happiness. And that is the whole basis of life, how to be happy. And that is also the focus of the Patanjali Yoga and other yoga. Science is helped by outdoor activities. You should do more outdoor activities. How many of you really do hands-on science approach? Or you just simply do work and some computer? Do your teachers allow you to go out and just, you live in the most, I'm sorry to say that, I live in a rural area, you are the most polluted city in the world. Most polluted. You cannot change the environment because the environment is something that you have no control. Though you have controls a little bit, what can you do in your own house? Can you make a better filter? Today, the air filters are available on the market, but they're very costly. And there's nothing very much. I've worked with air filters, and there's nothing very much. They're just making money, too much money. Think about it. Make simple, nice filters. Test it. Science happens when you have curiosity, when, as I told you, you look at the observation, you convert that into physics, you make into mathematical model, and then you solve that. Do that. It will teach you everything about science and technology. If you work with your hands on any problem that you face, it will teach you everything. You don't have to follow what is in the curriculum, etc. Gandhiji taught about Nai Talim long ago. I think this is the new Talim. Do that. Will help in creating great scientists and good citizens. And that is what we should be aim aiming at how you become a great and happy citizens of this great country. Thank you very much. I really appreciate.
Thank you once again. Yeah, sure. Please take this opportunity, wonderful opportunity. So I welcome some questions from your end. Yes, sir.
So Anil, it was fantastic, talk and conveying so many different good things to us younger people. I'm also younger than you, by the way. Right, right. Everybody is younger here. I keep saying that. No old people here. Only young, younger. You young, they younger. Right. So now, so what would you suggest? If somebody is working in US but doesn't have a lovely wife who would lead him back to India, then how would you suggest he would come back?
That's a very tough question.
I ask only tough questions.
Yeah. I had, I get a lot of students and people who are working in the United States. They come the similar type of advice. Well, I always tell them, I said, the best thing is to, some of them even have children, so which has become very difficult. I must share with you sad secret that I have my daughter in America, whom I cannot get here. I have two daughters. The younger one says she had 4 fellowships from America. She said, no, I'm not going to America. So she runs our school. We have started our school. So it is very difficult to make such choices. The only thing is how much you are passionate about your work, how much you are good about things. Another thing is, I feel that if you are good and want to do something really good, you can also do from United States. I've had a lot of people who wanted to help us. I said, I'm not interested in the money. I'm interested in you. I'm interested in the technology. But then what happens is that day-to-day work is so much overwhelming that they are not able to spend. But if you really are passionate about, then you can keep some time and use that time to help the country. And I think there are enough NGOs and enough organizations in India who would like to do that. At one time, when I was a little more idealist, now I've become very cynical. So I used to always think we should have a very national program of getting all these scientists from abroad. Everybody, all through, we always talk about it. But somehow it didn't work out. But I still feel that if somebody is passionate, then there should be some mechanisms. For example, I always ask my friends in America to solve this, to solve that. And sometimes it happens. That's all. I cannot, they have to influence their wives, not. That was a tough question. Huh? Yeah. Young, you have all had your breakfast?
Yeah, I think
Please.
somebody have a question. Anybody have a question? You can just raise your hands. Yeah. There.
The first questions are always tough, and then the whole thing starts.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm
Kripa Shankar, PhD third year student at Indian Agricultural Research Institute, Pusa, New Delhi. So we are highly obliged as a team that you have presented your work, and we are motivated, we have to do some work for our rural background also. Sir, I also got an opportunity to work with Professor Frederick Mitter at University of Florida in citrus genomics, but due to some visa application TS2019 form, it got delayed. Now I will be going to University of Western Australia to work with Professor Jacqueline Watley in molecular biology, especially on transcriptomics. Sir, there is no question. I just wanted to say that we are the most polluted city, as you have said. Like in Hindi mein quote ki kamal kichad mein hi khilta hai. So in Delhi, we are having an institute that is Indian Agricultural Research Institute, which is working the field of improvement as well as in the term of production. we are having the sustainable
नहीं
production.
मुझे मालूम है वो तो क्वेश्चन क्या आपका
No, sir, just simply I just wanted to say
हाँ.
we are having the varieties which is mega varieties, sir. Worldwide it have good earning.
मेरा आपसे एक क्वेश्चन बैठ जाइए
One simple convey, sir. Good things are also going on in our institute also, sir, which is in the term of pollution also, sir. Like we are having Pusa decomposer, which is highly useful for farmer welfare, as well as we are having the IFS model.
तुम
which is highly-
बैठ जाओ
Thank you, sir.
हाँ तुम एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट हो
No, sir, I'm a student.
तो ठीक है ना हर आदमी स्टूडेंट होता है
Yes, sir.
है ना इस देश में सबसे बड़ी जो प्रॉब्लम है वो गुड वेराइटीज की है तुम्हें मालूम है कि आजकल आज जो है वी आर इम्पोर्टिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ पल्सेस वी आर इम्पोर्टिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ ऑयल सीड्स आवर साइंटिस्ट आर वेरी गुड व्हाई कांट वी डू इट हियर 1990s में राजीव गांधी ने एक बड़ा प्रोग्राम किया था सेल्फ सफिशिएंसी इन ऑयल सीड्स द फार्मर्स एंड द साइंटिस्ट रोज टू द ओकेजन and we became nearly self-sufficient in oil seeds. If we keep on importing oil seeds, palm oil, etc., कैसे होगा? तुम लोग young scientists हो, develop things here. We are importing all our pulses from Australia. ये कोई शर्म की बात है? We should be producing it here. यहाँ पे इतनी land है, यहाँ के farmers बेचारे गरीब हैं, लेकिन if they are given challenge, they can rise to the challenge. ठीक है ना हाँ ओके यस
Yeah, somebody there.
So, sir, most of your work is based on the rural place of Fulton. So, I want to know what exactly, like, how did you counter the problems that you must have faced in a rural area to implement your scientific knowledge?
That is always a challenge. And you see, what happens is that if you develop something good, this is the law of the goodness. It spreads. For example, when I did the work in electric rickshaw or other things, we don't have money to make it, but slowly or sooner or later it spread. And that is the best form. That's why I make all my things available free on the internet. People will read and something will happen. You know, if you look at the history of the technology and how it has gone, there used to be in the old times some 10-year difference when you started doing R&D and when the mass. But there has to be a very good synergy between the R&D and which a lot of companies in Western world do that. Unfortunately, in India, we don't do that. Our research and development is in universities and etc., government organizations. We need to have, and that is why I always talk to the youngsters that you will one day hopefully become a CEO of a big company. If you have that understanding of how R&D, you see, everything that we have today is because of R&D. Why we don't understand that? Because we all the time we are looking at the bottom line. If we need something, we'll import it from abroad. That is not the right thing. If we have to become Atmanirbhar, it has to be invented here. Not more than invention is this whole mindset we have to change. Because a lot of our problems are unique. For example, when I started working in Lantern, I didn't tell you because I didn't have time. I looked at some of the re-entry rocket material. So I wrote to ISRO. ISRO was so thrilled. They said, who would have thought about using the re-entry in the Lantern, etc. It didn't succeed. But you know, the thought was there. And I think there should be hundreds and thousands of such experiments which should be done.
Somebody there in the back.
Yeah. Gentleman in this
Okay.
tie and suit. Huh?
Sir, I am Faizan Khan from St. Stephen's College.
Mhm.
Sir, we saw in the COVID times like migrant workers who migrate from the rural India to work in the cities. So like the rural India is facing the biggest problem of unemployment.
But did the migration take place like that or the other way around?
So So like in the from rural to urban area, we saw.
But that will always take place.
Yes, sir, and it is because like there are less employment in the rural area. So my question is to you, like how we can generate more employment in the rural areas.
That's the same thing I keep on asking myself. I keep on talking to the captains of industry, because ultimately the 50%, 60% of our population still is in rural India. They don't have the purchasing power. But the question is this, that if we don't have that much greed for profits from rural area, I'm sure that it will spread. And secondly, do you know anything about rural India? Okay. The biggest selling item in rural India is smartphones. People may or may not have money, but they'll buy smartphones. So if something is good, something is useful, because smartphones are no more the means of communication, they're the means of entertainment also. They provide a lot of entertainment, movies and music, etc. Something which is good, then sells. And that provides employment. The large number of companies or small small shops have come, which repair these phones. So many things happen. And India is on the move. What we need is, and in fact, there are a large number of people who are fed up with staying in Delhi, etc. They've started moving into rural areas, agriculture, etc. This is a positive thing, but we need to have it on a much larger scale. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. हाँ पहले बच्चे
Sure, sir.
पहले बच्चे
Sure.
हाँ.
We have two over there. Yeah.
I see some white hair in the
Yeah.
unless only he has dyed it.
Can you please stand up? I think they can. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Here.
So myself, Tarun Kumar, I'm third year physics honors student in St. Stephen's College. So I come from a rural background, and I want to, sir, you talked about science in mother tongue. I did my whole life schooling in a Hindi medium. I was a Hindi medium student, but when I came to Delhi, I had to change it. I think a lot of people face all these problems, but because of changing of the medium, I think we lose a lot of talents. Even in my class, when I was in the 12th, there were a lot of students like who were talented, but because science was not, we were not able to continue science in Hindi. We lost a lot of talents. So like what we can do about it?
You know, जब हम लोगों ने अपना छोटा स्कूल शुरू किया पलटन में, तो we did this in Marathi medium. उसका एक रीजन ये भी था कि टीचर्स मिलते नहीं थे इंग्लिश. But we felt that if you dream and think in your mother tongue, human brain is very powerful. You can write and later on in any other language. तो उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. मेन चीज क्या है कि you have to think in whatever language you want to think. Thinking जो होती है वो language नहीं होती है. Thinking जो होती है is in the very. I have written a lot of articles on how we think. The nature of human thought is the. So it's a very interesting thing. You can think in anything, any language, but जिसमें तुम सोचते हो, it's a translation. And ये जरूर है कि जब तुम English में आए and whole focus was in English, you felt little inferiority complex. But that should not have been the case. ऐसा होता है. लेकिन this is another very sad thing in this country. हम लोग हमेशा समझते हैं कि जो इंग्लिश बोलते हैं बड़े वो होते हैं. I went to the best English school in my school, मैं schooling करा, लेकिन मैंने बहुत पढ़ा हिंदी में. And I think that is what we should do. We should not be ashamed. ठीक है ना? तो ये कभी मत सोचो, कभी ये मन को नीचे मत करो. You are good in your field, you'll go ahead. सारे जापान के और चाइना के नोबेल लॉरेट्स वो थोड़ी इंग्लिश में करते हैं. हाँ, उसके लिए टाइम लगेगा ना, क्योंकि यू हैव टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम बेसिक. वहाँ से सारी किताबें चेंज होनी चाहिए, मीडियम ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन चेंज होना चाहिए. आज जो है गांव में ना तो वो अपनी मदर टंग बोल पाते ना इंग्लिश बोल पाते, लेकिन सब इंग्लिश के चक्कर में लगे रहते हैं. हिंदी बोलो, हिंदी बोलो. हाँ हाँ किसने कहा सरकार कर रही है? ऐसे कर रही है? ऐसे नहीं करना, आई डोंट थिंक सो। बट एनीवे, मेरे ख्याल में ये है कि अगर तुम सोचते किसी लैंग्वेज में जो भी है, सपना किस में देखते हो, अगर वो अच्छा देखते हो, दैट इज ऑल, बस। हाँ
सर आपने हिंदी में बोलने को बोला, इसलिए हिंदी में ही बोलता हूँ।
बिल्कुल।
सर आपका क्या ओपिनियन, जैसे इंडिया में अब है बाहर की टेक्नोलॉजी, हम थोड़ा डिपेंडेंट हो चुके हैं सर, कि बाहर की टेक्नोलॉजी आएगी हम काम करेंगे। सर आपका क्या ओपिनियन है कि हम इंडिया में टेक्नोलॉजी बनाए, करें और आगे चीजों को इंडिया में बढ़ाए सर? सर परेशानी नहीं सर, वही आपसे जानना चाहता था उसमें।
मैं खुदा नहीं हूँ, है? ना ही
तो आप
ना ही बाप हूँ। ये सब अपने आप सोचना चाहिए, जो जो भी चीज जो है जिससे कि देश की तरक्की हो, यू शुड डू इट।
तो वही, क्योंकि सर हम थोड़े डिपेंडेंट हो चुके हैं सर कि टेक्नोलॉजी बाहर की आएगी ये आएगी। सर हमें
तुम किस फील्ड में हो?
सर पीसीएम साइंस।
हाँ,
सर पीसीएम साइंस,
पीसीएम माने?
फिजिक्स।
हाँ ठीक है ना, तो सोचो इसके ऊपर और क्या करना चाहते हो, तो अपने आप जब तुम करना शुरू करोगे तो बहुत चीजें क्लियर हो जाएंगी। ठीक है? यस यस।
I request first to introduce yourself and then ask your question.
I think it was a remarkable talk by you, very inspiring. And I feel there's something in the soil of Maharashtra. I started my career in the early 70s from Maharashtra. I used to go to a city called Varda.
Can I know you?
The leprosy was very high.
Can I know your?
I'm Dr. Mehra. I spent all my
Okay.
life in AIIMS, Delhi.
Oh, good.
I'm from the health background. And you know, in India, out of the 10 to 12 million cases of leprosy around the world, 5 to 7 million were in India. And Varda was an area, sir, where not a family where there was not a case of leprosy. And that drew me into that field. And then, of course, we went on and on. I wanted to know from you, your opinion, why is the biotech industry not growing in India? I saw that in a small country like Holland, you know, every day there's a new company born over there. And this is a message that we want to give to our youngsters there. But what I saw there, I took a team of 5 topmost doctors of AIIMS to 5 universities in Holland. Every university, very well equipped and all, that they had a biotech hub actually. हमारे यहाँ पर एटलीस्ट मेरे जमाने में तो कहा जाता था प्राइवेट एंटरप्राइज के साथ इंटरेक्ट नहीं करना, आप एकेडेमिया में हो। तो एकेडेमिया इंडस्ट्री पार्टनरशिप जो लैग्ड बिहाइंड रही है इंडिया में, इज दैट दी?
देखिए ये
a country of 130 crore, we don't have biotech industries.
नो, आपका कहना बिल्कुल सही है, और ये इसका एग इन चिकन स्टोरी है। देखिए थोड़ा सा हमने स्टडी किया है, जो कैप्टन्स ऑफ वेरी मेजर कंपनीज है उनसे हम मिलते रहते हैं। वो कैप्टन्स कौन है? जनरली मोस्टली एक्सेप्ट टाटास को छोड़कर बाकी तो सब फैमिली है। तो जिस माहौल से आप आते हैं, तो यू नेवर थिंक अबाउट साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी और एनी R&D। आपको तो पैसा चाहिए, पैसे से आप कहते हैं हम कुछ भी खरीद लेंगे। तो दैट इज वेयर द फ्यूचर इज, बिकॉज आफ्टर ऑल some of you will get into the industry, some of you may rise, जैसे टाटाज ने अभी किया है, a non-Tata became a CEO, and if you start from this thinking, then there will be a process by which R&D will become important. दूसरी बात क्या होती है कि किसी भी कंट्री, चाहे अमेरिका हो कुछ भी हो, all these things flow from the top, and the top is government. And if the government feels yes, R&D is very important, if government feels that yes, we should develop our own process, then things happen. और वो चीज somehow नहीं हो पाई। हमारे फादर जो थे जब सेकंड स्ट्रिंग ऑफ लीडरशिप में थे, तो जब आज़ादी मिली तो लार्ज नंबर ऑफ जत्थास फ्रॉम साउथ ईस्ट एशिया इज टू कम टू इंडिया, क्योंकि इंडिया वाज अ शाइनिंग एग्जाम्पल ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, इंडिया वाज अ शाइनिंग एग्जाम्पल ऑफ इंडस्ट्री। ये लोगों को बिलीव नहीं होगा कि वी वर वेरी हाई in terms of technology etc. better than China. और लोग यहाँ आते थे लर्न करने के लिए. Look where India is and where other countries are. लीडरशिप जो है वही करती है. 1987 में मैंने एक बहुत बड़ा लेक्चर दिया था कार्ल्टन कॉलेज. कार्ल्टन कॉलेज एक बड़ा फेमस कॉलेज है मिनेसोटा में. वहाँ पर सारे मिनेसोटा के जो सीनेटर्स हैं वहीं से आते हैं, उस एरिया से. तो जिन्होंने मुझे बुलाया था उन्होंने शाम को एक पार्टी रखी थी मेरे ऑनर में. तो द फॉर्मर डीन ऑफ MIT बॉस्टन से वो भी आए थे. तो पता लगा कि दैट डीन सतीश धवन एंड द फादर ऑफ चाइनाज रॉकेट प्रोग्राम फॉर क्लासमेट्स इन कैलटेक. कैलटेक का नाम सुना है ना? तो उन्होंने मुझसे यही पूछा कि देखो, एंड उन्होंने ये कहा कि अमंग ऑल थ्री ऑफ अस सतीश धवन वाज द स्मार्टेस्ट पर्सन इन आवर क्लास. कोई भी प्रॉब्लम होती थी हम सतीश धवन के पास जाते थे. हम दोनों ही नहीं, बाकी और भी जाते थे. और उसने कहा लुक एट द स्पेस प्रोग्राम ऑफ चाइना एंड लुक एट द स्पेस प्रोग्राम ऑफ इंडिया. तो मैंने उनसे पूछा, मैंने कि ये क्यों हुआ? तो उन्होंने कहा कि इवन इन द हाइट ऑफ द माउस कल्चरल रेवोल्यूशन, उसने कहा था डोंट टच टू थिंग्स, एटॉमिक एनर्जी एंड स्पेस. दे वर ऑफ. और व्हेन यू गिव फ्रीडम टू योर टॉप पीपल, दे डू वंडरफुल थिंग्स. ये वही देश है जिसने कि दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा थॉट दुनिया को दिया है. यही देश है जहाँ के हमारे सारे लोग जो हैं वो ग्रेट काम करते हैं सारी दुनिया में. हम लोग क्यों नहीं कर सकते? Why don't we create an environment in this country? ये तुम ही लोग, you are the future of this country. Don't limit your thinking. You can do wonderful things. ये मत सोचो जैसे किसी ने मुझसे कहा ये होता है वो होता है. Don't think about that. Think about what you can do. ठीक है ना? So if you do that, I think it will happen. तो महाराष्ट्र की नहीं है, सारे देश की ऐसी है. देश में ही जो है, आफ्टर ऑल इतना बड़ा ग्रेटेस्ट फिलोसफिकल थॉट केम फ्रॉम दिस कंट्री. क्यों आया? मैंने हमेशा बहुत सोचा है. इंडिया मस्ट हैव बीन अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल कंट्री, एवरीथिंग इज अवेलेबल, पीपल हैव नो वरीज. मतलब मैं थोड़ा बहुत मैं कुछ काम कर पाया हूँ क्योंकि वहाँ पर कोई वरी नहीं. 2 हमें रोटी मिल जाती है. हमारा छोटा सा इंस्टीट्यूट है, हम अपना कोई दखल नहीं देता है, चुपचाप काम करते हैं, पार्टी नहीं करते. यस. ये लड़कियां क्या बैठी हुई हैं खाली? क्वेश्चंस? आई थिंक दे आर द यंगेस्ट. हाँ.
Can you please get the points? Yeah, so they can.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
sir. I'm Sathi.
हाँ, गुड आफ्टरनून हो गया. हाँ.
हमें पता है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज का कितना एडवर्स इफेक्ट है हर जगह पे, रूरल इंडिया में भी है. कैसे फार्मर्स को ये इफेक्ट करता है? जब वो फसल बोने जाते हैं पानी नहीं होता, फिर जब उनका फसल काटने का समय होता है तब इतनी बरसात होती है या सुनामी आ जाते हैं या ऐसे कंडीशंस आ जाते हैं जिसकी वजह से उनकी फसल खराब हो जाती है. इस वजह से कई सारे किसान खेती छोड़ के बाहर कस्बों में मजदूरी करने आ रहे हैं. तो हम इस सिचुएशन को कैसे हैंडल कर सकते हैं?
ये तुमने कहाँ से सीखा सब?
अपने ही घर में देखा है.
हमारी जो थोड़ी नॉलेज है वो ये है, वी डोंट हैव इनफ पीपल टू वर्क ऑन फार्म. महाराष्ट्र में ये इतनी हालत खराब हो गई है कि किसी लड़के ने कहा कि मैं फार्मर का लड़का हूँ तो उसको कोई लड़की नहीं देता है. और आज ये हालत हो गई है. आई जस्ट टेल यू अगेन फ्रॉम आवर एग्जांपल. व्हेन आई केम बैक फ्रॉम यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, हमारे यहाँ करीब 30-40 लेबरर्स लगते थे. कि फार्म है 100 एकड़ का, तो हमें बहुत से लेबरर्स को कहना पड़ता था कि आज जॉब नहीं है. आज हमें 25-30 किलोमीटर जाना पड़ता है ट्रैक्टर ट्रेलर लेकर लेबरर्स को लाने के लिए. टुडे बिकॉज इतना वो इंडस्ट्रीज आ गई हैं, एवरीबडी वांट्स टू. आफ्टर ऑल अगर आप फार्मर हो, क्या पसंद करोगे 7 घंटे धूप में टफ काम करना? कोई नहीं चाहता. तो सारे लोग जो हैं वो इंडस्ट्री में काम करना चाहते हैं. उनको ले जाते हैं, दोपहर का खाना देते हैं और अच्छे वेजेस मिलते हैं. तो मेन चीज़ क्या है कि वी डोंट हैव इनफ लेबर. दूसरी चीज़ जो सबसे बड़ी खराबी है वो ये है Our mechanization in farming has been very little. हम अभी भी 5,000 साल पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर रहे हैं. हमारे फार्म्स छोटे हैं, 2.5 acres, 2 acres. We have not developed small farm machines. And this is the greatest challenge to all the youngsters, scientists and technologists, to develop these small machines. और आज जो है इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ रही है, AI, electric mobility, etc. We should develop small farm machines, which could be autonomous, which can take care of a lot of these things. हमारे एरिया में पहले, क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र है, उसमें ज्वार, बाजरा ये ज़्यादा होता था. नई वेराइटीज निकली, जिससे कि वीट जो है वो महाराष्ट्र में ही लगने लगा. अदरवाइज वीट वाज ऑलवेज ग्रोन इन पंजाब एक्सेट्रा. उसको कोल्ड क्लाइमेट चाहिए. अब 2.5 एकड़ में बड़ी बड़ी कंबाइन हार्वेस्टर्स आते हैं. सो लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स. शुगर केन कटर्स नहीं मिलते हैं, तो हम लोगों ने देश में ब्राज़ील से और बाकी जगह से इंपोर्ट करी मशीन्स जो कि शुगर केन को काटते हैं, ऑटोमेटिकली भरते हैं. लेकिन देयर आर सच ह्यूज मशीन्स, तो छोटे फार्म के लिए बिल्कुल ज़्यादा यूजफुल नहीं है. वी नीड टू लुक एट आवर ओन प्रॉब्लम्स. तुम्हारे लिए यही है, जो तुम भाग रहे हो ऑस्ट्रेलिया, यहीं रहो. आया समझ में? बड़ी बड़ी बात मत करो. स्टे हियर, ट्राई टू सॉल्व इट, एंड वी आर ग्रेट पीपल, वी कैन सॉल्व इट. तो अगर हमारी छोटे फार्म्स के लिए अच्छी मशीनरी मिलेगी, तो आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स कैन बी. हमें वो नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि क्या है कि अब तुम लोग, पता नहीं तुम लोगों ने पढ़ा नहीं पढ़ा, फार्म बिल पढ़ा था? फार्म बिल इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था देश में, फिर वापस ले लिया गया. तुम लोग फार्मर कुछ थोड़े हो ICR में, प्लीज रीड ऑल दिस बिल्स. तो वो फार्म बिल का पर्पस ये था कि जितने भी छोटे फार्म्स हैं सबको एकत्रित करके बड़ा कर दो. दैट इज नॉट द आंसर. आंसर इज लीव दोज फार्म्स बट डेवलप टेक्नोलॉजीज टू हेल्प द फार्मर्स. तुम फार्मर हो क्या? कौन यहाँ फार्मर? कभी? तो यहाँ क्या कर रहे हो?
Be with me so that he can also interact with the great scientists on this
तू फार्मर हो क्या?
between.
जाओ ना फार्म के पास. मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि
हाँ सर, मैं अपने जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का रहने वाला हूँ. मैं आर्मी में 30 साल नौकरी की है.
ठीक है, मैं समझ गया. हाँ.
और सर ऐसा कि जो उस पेटी का पॉइंट था, उसके बारे में मैं बताता हूँ. क्या होता है कि जब सर हमारी फसल खराब हो जाती है, तो उस समय एक टीम जाती है, तो वहां पर जाकर क्या मुआवजा वगैरह देती है. तो जो मुआवजा वगैरह देती है वो सही ढंग से नहीं देती है. अगर किसी किसान का 1 किले से मिलता है 1 लाख रुपया प्रॉफिट मान लो, तो उसका जो बेनिफिट है उसको देंगे वो 2-3% देंगे.
हाँ ठीक है, मैं समझ गया. What I was telling was, if you ask a farmer, he would not like to leave farming. Farming is a way of life. और जब way of life होती है, who wants to do anything else? And it is a great thing, you know, when something grows, it's like your baby. It's a great satisfaction. The greenery gives you a very good feeling. जब बेचारे बहुत हालत खराब हो जाती है, तब वो दूसरी चीजें करते हैं. There are a lot of politicians who say कि they should do something else. That is not the right answer. Answer is we develop the ecosystem by which we produce excellent technologies for small farms. उनकी फार्म रहेगा, वो जब चाहेंगे. ये हमारे ड्रीम थी, हमने करा भी एक बार. महिंद्रा को बुलाया, पूरा सब, उसके बारे में कभी और लेक्चर दे सकते हैं. बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट एवरी फार्मर टू बी लाइक अ ब्रीडर. उसका काम खाली होगा कि वो इस कंपनी से चीज़ें बुलाएगा, वो सब डिफरेंट टाइम्स पर करेंगे, एंड ऑल इज वर्क कैन बी डन. दिस रिक्वायर्स अ वेरी डिफरेंट. ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप करने में बहुत साइंस की ज़रूरत है, बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी की ज़रूरत है. सारी चीज़ें यहीं से होंगी. किसी के और दुनिया में किसी के फार्म से 2.5 एकड़ के नहीं है, इंडिया के ही हैं. ये यूनिक प्रॉब्लम है, उसका अपने आप ही हम लोग सोल्यूशन कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. हम गए, हमने 11-12 साल पहले एक आर्टिकल लिखा था ऑन प्रिसिशन एग्रीकल्चर, जब इस देश में कोई बात ही नहीं करता था। फिर उसके बाद में हमने उसी को आगे बढ़ाया, तो फोर्थ इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के ऊपर हमने लिखा था 11 साल पहले। तो जो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम का शॉब है, उसने मुझे लेटर लिखा कि आई हैड नेवर सीन एन आर्टिकल लाइक दैट फॉर डेवलपिंग कंट्री। हमारा फोकस यही था कि बड़ी बड़ी ट्रैक्टर, बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ें होती हैं, उससे 1.5-2 एकड़ तो ख़त्म हो जाएगा। वी नीड स्मॉल मशीन्स, एंड इफ यू डू दैट देन इट विल बी वेरी बेनिफिशियल। या यस, हाँ।
क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट क्रॉप्स आ रही हैं, क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट वेराइटीज आपकी ड्रॉट के लिए भी और हीट के टॉलरेंस के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा काम IRA में और करनाल में चल रहा है, जो बीट और बिडिंग के हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट से जो एग्रीकल्चर के कुछ बच्चे हैं वो समझ रहे होंगे। अब बात यह है कि क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है कि कुछ स्टेट्स में कुछ ऐसी स्थिति है, कुछ ही में दूसरी स्थिति है। मैं एग्जांपल देता हूं आपको हिमाचल की और उत्तराखंड की। हिमाचल में मैंने मोर देन 3 decades सर्व किया वहां पे, एंड आई वाज द स्टूडेंट ऑफ IRA आल्सो। आई डिड माय PhD इन 1986 फ्रॉम IRA, लॉन्ग बैक। हिमाचल के फार्मर्स ने, हिमाचल के लोगों ने अपनी लैंड्स को छोड़ा नहीं है। आज भी अगर वो दिल्ली में या कहीं भी बसते हैं, बॉम्बे में, तो उनका एक मकान वहां पे अपने गांव में वैसा ही है, और उसको उन्होंने आगे प्रूव किया है, अपनी खेती बाड़ी को बहुत संभाला है। उत्तराखंड में इसका जस्ट रिवर्स हुआ, इसलिए उत्तराखंड हिमाचल से बहुत पीछे रह गया, 15-20 साल पीछे रह गया। ये एक चीज है जो सर ने कहा कि जमीनों को मत छोड़िए, अपने गांवों को मत छोड़ के जाइए, एक बात। दूसरी बात, इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट 2-3 लोगों की वजह से जाना जाता है। डॉक्टर BP पाल, डॉक्टर MS स्वामीनाथन, डॉक्टर GS सुरोही, डॉक्टर RS पड़ौदा, डॉक्टर VL चोपड़ा, प्रोमिनेंट लोग जो वहां से रहे हैं। अगर मैं आप में से किसी से ये पूछूं कि सर ने बताया कि रमन इफेक्ट है, JC बोस का है, क्या कोई बता सकता है कि सुरोही पॉइंट क्या चीज है? सुरोही पॉइंट क्यों जाना जाता है ग्लोबल साइंस मैप के ऊपर? कोई भी एक बच्चा इस बात का आंसर दे सके? नो। मैंने 30 साल जब इस कोर्सेज को पढ़ाया वहां पे, फिजियोलॉजी को औरों को, तो मुझे बड़ा दुख होता था देखते हुए कि जो दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूशंस के भी टीचर हमारे अपॉइंटेड थे।
आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है?
क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो हमारे अनसंग हीरोज हैं, साइंटिस्ट हैं, उनको सभी लोग भूल गए। GS सुरोही, the first Indian biologist or the first Indian who set his foot on South Pole Antarctica in 1960. And the American Board of Geographical Names, they named a place Surohi Point in 1967 in his recognition of the work. This is the book, 100 Days in Antarctica. 32 pages book, published by National Book Trust or Children Book Trust in 1979. When I was a student, I purchased a copy. None of the students from IRA purchased that copy of my batch, but still I am keeping it, and it is close to my heart. There is the question of passion.
Good.
You keep develop passion for the science, for the agriculture science. I am keeping it. I purchased 3 copies. 1 copy I gave to the governor of Himachal. He is the governor of this Gujarat, Acharya Devrat. Another copy is still with me from last 40 years. 100 Days in Antarctica.
Any other questions?
I mean, कि आप पैशन रखिए। और क्वेश्चन तो यह है कि सर ने इतनी इंस्पायरिंग और इतनी मोटिवेटिंग टॉक की है, दी है, इसमें कोई सवाल पूछने का मतलब ही नहीं पैदा होता है। कोई सवाल नहीं। ये जो मैंने आपसे कुछ भी शेयर किया, ये मेरे हार्ट की फीलिंग थी, और पहले मैं हेजिटेट भी कर रहा था इस क्वेश्चन बात करने से पहले। देन आई थॉट कि ऐसे मौके कभी कभी मिलते हैं, अपने दिल की बातों को, जो चीजें हैं उनको, इमोशंस को हाउस से शेयर करना चाहिए।
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yeah.
Yes.
My name is Palak and I'm from Deshbandhu College, Delhi University. So like you mentioned that we are a generation of internet. So like whenever we identify any problem, our very first go-to resource is internet. But like we often face information overload when we are on that platform. So how can we navigate through that?
You see, that's a very interesting and good question, because और गूगल ने तो ऐसा कर दिया है कि पहले 10 वो आएंगे, वो बस वही होंगे. जब हमारे यहाँ कुछ ये इंटरनेट नहीं था, I used to teach in America. I used to tell my students to please go and find out a reference, but 3 references on the same topic, and they should not be related to each other. It's the science of trying to find the right information, which is very important. That comes with time, with also focus, क्योंकि बहुत सी चीजें जो हैं बहुत गड़बड़ हैं इंटरनेट पर. And in fact, it should be a great challenge. People should teach, and if you learn, teach your youngsters, because finding the right information on the internet is a great challenge. It is available. So if I look at something, for example, I do a lot of now brain research, etc. I go to maybe 20th or 30th, and then probably that shows something, not the first few. बहुत junk है, but that is a challenge and it should be looked at.
We can take last one question and
Yeah.
then you can interact with sir after the session also.
Oh, I'm delighted.
Yeah.
And you already have the email.
Presentations, yeah.
Email.
Good morning.
हाँ.
Respected sir. Good afternoon, sir. I am Ashu from Deshbandhu College. Sir, आपका लेक्चर इतना इंटरेक्टिव हुआ कि कॉन्फिडेंस आया कि आपसे कुछ क्वेश्चंस पूछूं.
Okay.
सर, एक क्वेश्चन मेरा आपसे ये था कि साइंस और स्पिरिचुअलिटी में क्या रिलेशनशिप है?
कोई नहीं है, कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है, सेम है. We are all looking for truth.
सर, मेरा सेकंड क्वेश्चन ये था आपसे कि साइंटिस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तो बनते हैं सर, उनमें मेन हर्डल या फिर मेन चैलेंजेस क्या है? इज दैट कि जो यंगस्टर या स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो करियर ओरिएंटेड जॉब्स के पीछे मतलब ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं, इस वजह से साइंटिस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हर्डल डिफरेंस आ रहा है?
भाई देखो, आज की जो सोसाइटी है वो फोकस उसका मनी है. हर आदमी, लड़की लड़का जो है वो मनी की तरफ जाता है. How do we, this is the biggest challenge. I keep on talking to youngsters. There's something more than money. हमने अपनी जिंदगी में करा थोड़ा बहुत, and I am not unique. I think there are hundreds and thousands of, maybe somebody has to go to them or tell them. Because when you start looking at things very deeply, you get a tremendous happiness. फिर ये मनी सब जो है वो पीछे चला जाता है. And if you do, तुम एक शर्ट और एक पैंट पहनते हो, why do you need to have 100 shirts and 200 pants? तुम 2-3 रोटी खाओगे, मैक्सिमम तुम्हारे पास तुम चलाने के लिए मोटरसाइकिल होगी. People have 20-30 cars. I'll not name, but I saw somebody who came in his own plane. There were 20 cars lined. He had to choose which he wants to go. What type of obscene? लेकिन ये सोचना चाहिए कि वो मेंटल बेसिस क्या है. द इनसिक्योरिटी अगर निकाल दोगे अपने दिमाग से तो बहुत चीजें सही हो जाएंगी. ठीक है. सो इस बेसिस पर थैंक यू वेरी मच. आई वाज रियली डिलाइटेड and I hope that this questioning continues, not with me but with yourself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Professor Ashutosh Sharma, President INSA, to felicitate the speaker of the session. Thank you so much, sir. It's really an honor for all of us to have you here. May I also request other dignitaries, Vice Presidents of INSA, Executive Director also to join the dignitaries on the dais, please. So please. A big round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. And once again, thank you, Nandini ma'am, for bringing sir back to India. Now let's hear from the Vice Presidents of INSA. May I request Professor Narinder Mehra, Vice President INSA, for your special remarks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can check one, sir. These are the ones? Yes.
Thank you so much. I think after that wonderful motivational talk, I was saying that land of Maharashtra has something in it because I started working. My scientific career began in the early 70s when I went to Wardha in Maharashtra, where I found not a single home where there was not a case of leprosy. पर डॉक्टर राजवंशी जो मैंने सेवा भाव देखा था ना वहाँ, that impressed me a lot. And people were not treating leprosy case as a, अछूत. वो उनकी सेवा कर रहे थे. तो मुझे लगा जैसे गांधी जी का आश्रम भी था सेवाग्राम में. वहाँ एक बड़ी सी फोटो लगी हुई है, गांधी जी सर्विंग परचुरे शास्त्री. And I think that probably have percolated down into the people there. So I myself was very impressed. That impression has always been in my mind of Maharashtra, and I still keep going to Wardha. It has changed a lot. The MP of that area in Chandrapur is a personal friend of mine. He became the Minister for Home Affairs and all, Minister of State for Home Government of India. But anyway, today we want to talk about National Science Day, and you think that all this older, younger lot will only come to give you sermons and all that. But I think we are talking from our experience. And of course, the first National Science Day was celebrated on February 28, 1987 to honor the inventions made by Sir Raman. And you know about that the Nobel Prize in 1930, the day gives us hope and inspiration to future generations to pursue their goals, and several programs are done all over India. And we commemorate to recognize the grandeur of science. And today everybody is talking of science for society or science in society. And I think what Dr. Rajvanshi and his wife have done in the village over there, in the rural area over there, is actually science for the society. And the theme this year, you know about it. But I think the last line, it's time to sustain the spirit of science and mark qualities of a good scientist. And Dr. Rajvanshi did talk about Charles Darwin. Because I belong to the field of health, I have to only talk about health. The people who go into biology and health, they have a very narrow vision. You only see human body, nothing else beyond them. Greatest scientist of all times, Charles Darwin, discovered the theory of evolution, and you all know it. Evolution occurs because of a phenomenon called natural selection. It's much later that Jan Klein, people like Jan Klein in Germany, talked a little bit more in details of natural selection over there. But if you look at the qualities of this scientist, he was very observant. And if you look at Mendel also, Mendel was also very observant. He was not a scientist, he was just the monk there. And he made large collections of specimens. What I want to highlight is he made extensive and detailed notes. This is something that our younger generation is not doing anymore. When you write, when you make notes, it stays in your mind. You only see the screen. I think it's a good habit to make extensive and detailed notes. He was also very curious and open to learning new things. And he tried not to be biased and to base his scientific beliefs on evidence rather than on preconceived ideas. So these were some of the qualities, and I think that should inspire our younger lot of scientists. And I said I come from the health background, and I have been fascinated by this landmark years. If you look at the last 2 centuries, and the turn of the century has been a landmark year. In 1901, 2 greatest discoveries were done, and that changed the health scene. Mendel's work. Mendel, of course, did this work in 1865, but the quality and the extent of his work was recognized only after his death in 1901, when people thought, oh, the Mendel's theory of inheritance. Even today, we talk of Mendel's theory of inheritance, be it agriculture field, medicine field, or life sciences field. But the second one is even more important, blood groups, Karl and Steiner. And these are both Austrian scientists. And if you read their history as well, very simple tools. He discovered the blood groups. Now, you imagine if the blood groups were not known, where would science go? Where would at least the medical science go? And then, of course, over the century, the last century, a number of very important developments took place. DNA structure, PCR, foundations of genomics were laid. Again, the turn of the century, 2001, was a landmark year. And that was because of these two gentlemen, Francis Collins and Craig Venter, who had done the work on the book of genes, the genomics, the structural genomics. And today we are talking of functional genomics. Today time has come when we are talking of gene therapy, all due to this. So these are only the two examples that I'm giving from the field of medicine and biology. I'm sure there are others. And this is a very remarkable observation that the turn of the century has been landmark here. Now, today we are talking of science for society and science in society. I'm actually going on behalf of INSA next week to Japan to take part in the G Sciences meeting, the meeting of the G7. And there, one of the major themes that they have is science for society and science in society. Science is the most important channel of knowledge that generates solutions for everyday life and has to increase the quality of life. Societal engagement with science and citizen participation is essential to equip them to make informed personal and professional choices. And of course, we know that science contributes to ensuring a longer and healthier life, nourishing our spirits, fulfilling our needs for health and other basic needs like food and all. Challenges today cut across the traditional boundaries of the disciplines and stretch across the life cycle of innovation there. And these are all things that you have already been told, but remember one thing. And Dr. Rajvanshi talked about three words if you're a scientist. And I keep talking to my students, of MD students or DM students. What, why, and how? I think a scientist must note down these three words. What, why, and how? You must always question anything that you see around. Why is it? What and how part of it? And science, technology, and innovation must drive our pursuit of more equitable and sustainable development. And there are, if you look at the societal issues where science could help transform, these are some of the issues that have also been brought forward by the inter-academy partnership, the IAP as we call it, to declare trauma as a disease rather than an unintentional event. We already see trauma on the roadside. People die of accidents or some of the suicides and things of that sort. And we say it's a one-off incident. I think unless we start looking at it as a disease rather than unintentional event, we will not be able to overcome this. Science-based approach to fight against falsified and substandard medical products. And we see that every day in our life. Fake, poor quality, threaten life and health security. And you develop what we call drug resistant infections and all. For protection of marine environment, stem cell technologies and regenerative medicine. This is another area that is coming up in a big way. And the hope is, can we someday can we create a kidney in the lab? Can we create a heart in the lab so that we don't have to depend on a donor? Climate change and biodiversity are all been exposed to. Implications of urbanization in low and middle income countries has been recognized as one of the biggest challenges that we have. And the other big challenge, as I see, is challenge in ensuring equitable access to urban health. Somebody talked about the migrant label there. And we saw during COVID-19 pandemic, how much they were suffering. The labor that had come from other states to a city like Delhi had no access to healthcare. And so we need to really focus our attention also on the problems associated with urban health. Let me now, towards the last part of my talk to you about S20, the Science 20, where INSA is very deeply involved with. And this is the India's vision to promote a dialogue in the G20 meetings in a universal one. The basic theme of G20 in India, as you have seen all over the hoardings, is one earth, one family, one future that derives from us. So they were going to come. And for the Science 20, since India is the chair in the Indian National Science Academy, we have developed this basic theme of disruptive science for innovative and sustainable development. And Dr. Ashutosh Sharma talked to you a lot about the disruptive science. And this is only the 7th time that the G20 countries are actually taking part in Science 20. The Science 20 was started in 2017. And you can see every year the theme changes. The theme changes because the country, the chair, actually brings up the theme, and we can look through that. But the theme that we made is disruptive science with 3 major areas over there, the 3 major tracks: the clean energy for a greener future, and where we want to talk about hydrogen energy from the ocean, new generation energy storage. I'm only showing this to you to sort of incite some a fire in you if you want to contribute anyway. Give us your ideas. Universal holistic health is a very important problem where we're talking of human health outside the hospital. What can we do to achieve universal holistic health to the last man over there, and talk about physiological and the physical health, social, psychological, emotional, and then of course the indigenous approach, a country like India where we have yoga, meditation and all. But last but not the least, the very important topic of how do we connect science to society, connecting science to culture as well. So these are real three areas over there, and meet at least 5 meetings of the S20 group will be held in various parts of India, where we expect the participants from other countries, other member states to come over here and talk to us. And you have got a call from the IAP also, and Dr. Rajan Dhaka has talked to me, projects, create a project, please. And IAP is a wonderful forum, inter-academy partnership. There are about 176 academies around the world. They created this IAP as a model. They can give you good amount of funding, $20,000 or so, but create projects worthwhile. And I just suggested a few of them: combating the predatory journals and conferences. We have no, I mean, we talk about, but we don't have the data. How many predatory journals that we have? How many predatory journals our youngsters use, or the young faculty member uses actually, and the conferences like that. Think about e-vehicles and e-waste. This is an upcoming area where you can collaborate with some other academy there. Science beyond boundaries. Break all those boundaries over there. Renewable energy and water, antimicrobial resistance is becoming a big sort of issue. So these are some of the topics, but please do talk about amongst yourself. The date is coming very, very soon, and make sure that you send an application to them. And this is my last slide. I just wanted to talk to you about always try novel approaches. You should have conviction. जो डॉक्टर साहब ने बोला, जनून होना चाहिए. जनून के बिना काम नहीं चलता. Don't be scared of failures. Have self-belief. Failures will be there all the time. All of us have faced it. But think big approach. I think time has now come. We should really think big. Big dreams. And this is the theme of the National Science Day of 2023. And look at what Albert Einstein had said. He said, if someone feels that they had never made a mistake in their life, then it means that they had never tried a new thing in their life. Mistakes are a part of life. And I want to show you this last slide. This guy, David Baltimore, very important doctor who got the Nobel Prize. And his quote, he came to AIMS in 2007, and I just, copied him. What he said, doing science at the highest possible level is one of the greatest forms of fun as there can be in this world. You get paid for it. People appreciate you for it. You contribute to society, and in my view, you just can't beat it. He said, I will be 70 years old next year, and I still have a new result as I ever did. It is the greatest high I know. I think you've got to love science. If you have come to the field of science, develop this conviction and genuine. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Mehra, for the motivating words and also having some broad strokes on the other challenges that we are going to face. Now, may I request Professor Sanjay Puri to share your thoughts on this special day.
Yeah, good afternoon, friends. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I mean, today's a unique day we celebrate every year, the 28th of February as National Science Day. And I'm really happy to see so many young faces in the audience, or younger faces in the audience, as the president would put it. I just want to sort of thank Dr. Rajvanshi for his very inspiring lecture. I think a lot of students and a lot of non-students, for that matter, would have really gained a lot from it and felt the passion sort of in his words. I just want to sort of touch on a couple of themes today. I mean, as you all know, I mean, it's already been said that National Science Day celebrates the day that one of the greatest discoveries in India and actually in the world of physics was made, the discovery of the Raman effect. Raman was in Kolkata at that time, and he discovered this unique form of scattering, which became literally one of the most important discoveries of physics. And what it led to was what's called Raman spectroscopy. And Raman spectroscopy is a very universal tool for investigating the structure and the sort of various aspects of materials and so on and so forth. So that's really sort of unique. It was done in India. It was done as on a very small budget. It was done without huge amount of sort of systemic support and stuff like that. But the insight and the sort of passion of Raman and the honesty of his science sort of enabled this result to be found. I mean, there were several other names who are equally celebratable from that period. Some names that come to mind, I think Professor Sharma already mentioned J.C. Bose. J.C. Bose was really a remarkable individual. I hope you're all aware that he is now officially credited as the inventor of the wireless. I mean, though the Nobel Prize was given to Marconi, some years ago, the IEEE, which is the sort of institution of engineers worldwide, recognized J.C. Bose as the inventor of the wireless. At the same time, he showed that plants are alive. He was a Leonardo da Vinci of India. I mean, he just had a huge canvas and he painted beautiful things on that canvas. And we really should be proud of having had such sort of forefathers. Other great names which come to mind are S.N. Bose, Meghnad Saha. The list is endless, and the reason for sort of spelling out these names is the following: that they taught us how to do science in a certain way, with a certain integrity, with a certain passion, with a certain sort of commitment. And even though the nature, in the manner in which science has changed, has changed, the lessons taught to us by these people are very crucial. I mean, I wanted to touch on today's theme. The Science Day theme is Global Science for Global Well-being. And I think we all realize that science is now a global activity. I mean, those of us who do science, we typically have collaborators from all over the world. It's actually very enriching to have collaborators from all over the world. We travel to international conferences. We are in touch with results which are coming out from various laboratories, etc., etc. The internet has really been a sort of great equalizer in that sense. But I imagine when the young students of today, that is you people, become practicing scientists, the nature of science will have changed even more, as a matter of fact, and it'll be more global. And on this point, I just wanted to remark that many of the sort of problems facing humanity are now global problems. For example, we've talked about climate change, how pollution changes the climate. I mean, this is something that is not confined to India. This is not Indian science or American science or whatever. Whatever's in the atmosphere sort of damages all of us. Pandemics, for example. I mean, some small sort of mishap in Wuhan, China, led to a pandemic which sort of really held the world hostage for 3 or 4 years. And even now, I'm not sure whether we've entirely come out of it. So these are sort of things that are global problems. They are global issues which need to be resolved. We need to go out to different planets, space exploration. We need to sort of address problems of hunger, malnutrition. Dr. Rajvanshi very nicely made this point that malnutrition is one of the major problems facing the poor countries. And apart from that, of course, there are the older science issues. So these are all issues that are global in scale. The well-being of the earth depends on our finding solutions for these problems. And those solutions must come from a global science, which you will be participants of, basically. I think that's clear. But the morality of science, the methodology of science remains the same as what was taught to us by people like Raman and Bose, J.C. Bose, S.N. Bose, etc. Okay, so we still use the same sort of, we have to still work with the same passion, the same commitment to define the solutions for modern day problems. I just want to sort of add a couple of other things before I end. Obviously, these issues require a scientific solution, but many of these problems are also creations of science and technology. Pollution, for example, is something that's come about as a result of our scientific development. Pandemics, the possibility of laboratory experiments where genes are modified, etc., etc. These pose very positive outcomes for the human race. At the same time, they also pose threats to us in some sense of the word. So these are the outcomes of science and technology, some of these global problems, and that's what we need to find solutions for, again, through the scientific temper. A couple of things I want to say to young students out here. I mean, of course, one is talking about global science, etc., and then you get this impression of very large teams of people working together, you know, huge super collider experiments in Geneva and so on and so forth. And you ask yourself, what is your individual sort of contribution you can make? And this is the point I want to emphasize, that there is always scope in science for individual brilliance. I mean, it's not that necessarily things are done as part of a team. There's always one spark of an idea which transforms. I mean, there's so many examples in the history of science. Raman found this fantastic effect. J.C. Bose discovered the wireless, and so on and so forth. There are so many examples in science worldwide where individual contributions actually trigger huge scientific developments. Okay, so please rest assured that if you feel that you are an individualist, you want to sort of make your own contribution, the scope for that individual contribution is still very much part of the scientific domain. Okay, a global science, global well-being is fine, but you can make a difference and you must make a difference. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I wanted to say is that there's a lot of talk today about applied science. Our science should be applied. I sort of want to stress to you that, of course, science should be applied. That it's very nice to have solutions to actual problems from science, but you should do scientifically what comes naturally to you. Okay, don't be swayed too much by statement. I mean, if abstract mathematics is your forte, pursue it. If you're a number theorist or an algebraic geometer, there would be no point you're trying to find solutions for agricultural engineering, for example. Okay, there are enough people to do applied sciences. You find your niche, your forte, and pursue what comes naturally to you. Okay, and applied science flourishes in an ecosystem of pure science. So there's scope for both pure science, there's scope for applied science, and there's scope for all sorts of things in between. You should do what comes naturally to you because that's what you're going to be best at, basically. Okay. Last thing I want to say, I think my time's more or less up, is that we really look forward to you. You are the generation which will define the future of science in this country and in the world. And we look forward to you doing much better than we have done, questioning what we have done, constantly sort of moving ahead. And if you don't question what we do, then you will never move on to greater heights, basically. So continue questioning, keep pushing the borders, and make us proud of you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we have one release of publication, and also we have to felicitate the winners of the Saransh competition. So may I now once again request the dignitaries to please join on the dais. Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Professor Anil Rajvanshi, Professor Mehra, Professor Puri, Dr. Arvind Ranade, Dr. Rajan. Please join on the dais. So in the morning, Professor Sharma mentioned that INSA is young, and INSA also has a younger academy, a daughter academy, INYAS, International Young Academy of Science. And we cater to connect science to society and also as a voice of young researchers. So the whole activity of INYAS is in the form of a newsletter. I also request my INYAS colleagues, Dr. Dujendra Pandey, Dr. Charulata, INYAS alumni, Dr. Kalpana Nagpal, Coordinator, Delhi chapter of INYAS, to release the INYAS newsletter. To brief you, this is newsletter is translated in 4 different languages: Bengali, Marathi, Konkani, and Hindi. Thank you so much. The PDF will be uploaded in the INYAS website. So for those who are interested in knowing the INYAS activities, can please. I also like to thank all the colleagues of INYAS and the translators who actually took part in the translation and as well as development of this document. So now coming to the last event, as I mentioned that INYAS give a platform to the young researchers of our country. So we conducted recently a program called Saransh, which is a 3-minute thesis. So we know like science is mostly with jargons and technical language, but this is a challenge that we gave to those young students. Whether can we talk about your work in very simple, non-complicated manner so that you can connect to the society. So even a 5-year or 6-year-old kid can understand what you're doing. So that was the challenge put forward. And the senior PhD students registered in state and central universities and institutions in India were requested to participate. We got a very wholesome participation in different fields: physics, mathematics, chemical, biological, and engineering sciences. So the preliminary round was like they uploaded their presentation on YouTube. Based on that, the jury, which comprised of science communicators, INYAS alumni, from various facets of science were there. And the jury then concluded some of the, has the best presenters as winners of Saransh 2022. So here, as we mentioned, that you are the future of India, Indian science. So it's really a privilege and pleasure to invite you on this dais to felicitate you as Saransh winners. So let me start. I also request the dignitaries to felicitate them. Yeah. So the first winner for physical and mathematical science is Priyansha Gupta. A big round of applause, please. She is from CSIR, National Institute of Oceanography, Goa. Second, Damanpreet Kaur from IIT Ropar. The third goes to Shushovan Ghosh from IIT Delhi. Yeah. Unfortunately, the first candidate of our engineering science, Ekansh Agarwal from Central Building Research Institute, is not with us. So may I invite? The second position goes to Priyanka Saini, IIT Delhi. Priyanka applied for engineering sciences. The third prize gone to Anil Kumar PM, IIT Madras. He's also not with us today. Next, life science. First prize goes to Manas Ranjan Sahu, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. May I now request second prize winner, Shatarupa Bhattacharya from IIT Kharagpur. Third goes to Tamanna Bharadwaj, Guru Nanak University. Yes, Tamanna, we inspire. A big round of applause, guys. So first prize in chemical science goes to Deepika Sardana, JNU, New Delhi. Second prize goes to Snehashish Devnath, but he's also unfortunately not with us. So let me welcome the third prize winner of chemical science, Ashmita Bishwash, Institute of Nanoscience and Technology, Mohali. Ashmita Biswas. Now I request all the winners to join the dignitaries for a group photo. I think it's a moment to freeze for sure. Yeah, please. You can have a. We would also like to thank the sponsor of this event, Enton Power, for collaborating with INYAS in this event. Now, I also request you also to share just very brief your experience and any thoughts on, especially on this day. So one by one, yeah, the floor is yours. Can I call Priyansha?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Hello everyone. My name is Priyansha Gupta. I am from CSIR, National Institute of Oceanography, Goa. So the major work related to my PhD is microplastic pollution. So I was just wanted to ask some question regarding that, but couldn't get the time. So just wanted to brief that you all must know about the microplastics, right? So how much it is toxic. From if you throw any plastic here in Delhi, it can go to anywhere very easily to the oceans. And so basically I'm working on the ocean parameters, like how wave, tide, winds, currents can affect the contribution, and how seasonal pattern, when you see it is rain can easily collect lot of plastic material and it can throw to the oceans. And also there are so many pollutants are there in our environment and also in the plastic. So in one line, if I want to say, is that plastic itself are toxic and it carry a toxic chemicals, and it can act a vector for many pollutants to our ecosystem. So with that, I just want to thank you everyone. And so in my future, I'm looking forward to work the solution part of the plastics, how we can convert our India as a not as a contributing in terms of plastic pollution. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Damanpreet Kaur. I am from IIT Ropar. My research thesis is on developing gallium oxide-based solar blind photodetectors. So these photodetectors, they work in the UVC region, so you cannot see it, but all these sources such as hydrogen flame, which you cannot see with your naked eye, you can easily image with these photodetectors. And that is the work of my thesis. I'll be very brief. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I'm Susoban Ghosh. I'm a Prime Minister Research Fellow at Center for Atmospheric Sciences, IIT Delhi. My research is how air pollution is impacting the solar renewable energy in India. So let me tell that what is the research question we are actually looking at. So one day I and my supervisor and the collaborator went to the rooftop, and what we found that the solar panel is dusty and they are dirty. And if we compare the other things, like in a hazy day versus a clear sky day, we found that the solar energy is not producing that much. So we are actually looking into that challenges. And what we found that the India is lost like 1/3 of its solar resources due to air pollution. But the good news is, like, if we clean our environment through different government policies like Prime Minister or Ujjwala Yojana or National Clean Air Program, then we clean our atmosphere and we actually eventually reduces this particulate matter and we get more and more solar renewable energy. So our research is looking into the sustainable development goals of India to make our India more sustainable nation and the sustainable world as a whole. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Priyanka Saini. I'm a Prime Minister Research Fellow in IIT Delhi, and I'm doing my PhD in material science. So first of all, I would like to thank the INYAS committee for giving me this prestigious award and for recognizing my work. I want to dedicate this award to my supervisor, Professor Lakshmi Narayan Ramasubramanian, who has been an exceptional mentor throughout my research journey. I would also like to thank my parents who came here especially for me to see me getting this prestigious award. They especially came from Jammu, and they also want to just celebrate this National Science Day with all the great scientists. And now I'll talk about my research. Basically, my goal is to make a material that is very strong and very tough, so that I can use that material in structural applications. That material, so I started exploring materials, and I found that bulk metallic glass, that's a material that has the potential to replace the materials currently used in structural applications. And this material has only one problem, that is it is not having sufficient tensile ductility. So my aim is to actually provide plasticity to that material, and I'm trying to keep it take it to a greater heights, and I'm sure that it will definitely be a structural material in future. And thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the organizing members of INSA and INYAS for coming up with this competition, 3 minutes thesis presentation competition. And it's a privilege to be a part of this program today and receive awards from these great people. And I would like to express my gratitude to my supervisor, Dr. Ramendra Sundar De from Institute of Nanoscience and Technology, Mohali, for always pushing me to take up these kind of new challenges and keeping faith in me. I want to express my gratitude to my institute itself for providing excellent instrumentation facility under one roof, which makes research really easygoing. And to my group members who have always been there in both my good times and bad patches. And last but not the least, my family, my parents, for being a constant support system throughout. And coming to my research, it concerns with the electrochemical ammonia synthesis. We all are aware of the current energy scenario, that it is there is a demand for sustainability in this respect. And although it's now going by hydrogen fuel, but it is an assumption that in the near future, by almost say 2050, it will be run by the ammonia economy. So there is a great need to produce industrial scale ammonia, and currently we are working on that. And I believe that in any field, once you realize the problems associated, it gives a great enthusiasm and joy to work on it. And the work that we have been doing, be it catalyst development or electrolyte modifications, we have been able to bridge up some of the gaps in the field. And for that, I feel extremely privileged to be guided by my supervisor because of his constant support, constant motivation, and our daily one-to-one discussion, which has helped me tremendously in my work. Thank you so much. Tremendously in my work. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deepika, and I am a PhD student at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. In my research work, I'm interested in understanding the biomolecular dynamics, specifically in DNA, which is important to understand and to design drugs and therapeutics for not only deadly diseases like cancer, but also for instance, antivirals for viruses such as Zika virus and COVID-19, for which there is no cure available. And I would like to thank INYAS for this opportunity and for this platform, and all those who made it possible, my supervisor, all my mentors, my teachers, and thank you all for your attention. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. A very warm good afternoon to all, and respected chair, co-chair, and my dear all young friends. So my name is Tamanna Bhartwaj. I come from Department of Botanical and Environmental Sciences, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. So the lab which I am associated with is Plant Stress Physiology Lab. We call it PSP Lab. So I'm a botanist, and after securing first rank in Masters, I got opportunity to go for PhD by applying for an INSPIRE program that is awarded by DST. So I applied for it, and hopefully the project got accepted. And what do we work upon now? In agriculture, we are very much concerned with one P, that is productivity. but we do often forget about physiology, what's actually happening to the plant when it is under stress. So that's why when we have a problem, what do? We take medication. In plants, we also give medicines, and that is in form of plant hormones, phytohormones. And the hormone which I'm working upon is melatonin. That is produced from the pituitary gland. You all must be knowing about that. So we are working upon that. And I'm very thankful to INYAS and my parents, my family, my supervisor for helping me out and making me reach here. And something, the learning which I received in these 3 years, I would like to share with you all that there was a question about learning from internet. Possibly we all know about Google, but we also need to know about Google Scholar, where you can simply go and check out very wonderful review articles which are cited by the best journals in the world. Okay, so also you can prepare notes from that. And secondly, there will be a difficult times if you want to be in, I mean, you go for research, there will be difficult times where you will be tested emotionally, physically, mentally, but show character at that time. And I believe since we are the people of the world, the first line of preamble, so we can just say that we all must work hard so that by 2047, we hit 100 years of independence. We have a strong army, a skilled farmers community, and a very competent scientific community as well. Thank you. Good day.
Hello, everyone. I am a PhD student from JNU. My name is Manas. So at times we forget things. School students, you must be forgetting to do homework at times. We adults sometimes forget our mobile phone, our keys, and how frustrating it is to forget things and then not to remember. So just imagine a disease condition where a person loses every single memory of his or her own life. He forgets the route to his home, how to wear clothes, or even the name of his or her own. So such a disease condition is known as Alzheimer's disease, which happens when there is a death of neurons in the brain. So this problem is getting very common in old age persons. So we at the School of Life Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, are testing a new drug called XMU-MP1 in rat model. And we are finding that this drug is helping to treat the Alzheimer's disease as it is reversing the memory impairment. And also it is rescuing the neuronal cells from dying. So we are hopeful, but it is still very early to call it as a jackpot solution for Alzheimer's disease. So if you are interested, then you can always contact me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm the last one. So yeah. So I'm from IIT Kharagpur from the School of Medical Science and Technology. So you know from the department itself that we are a conglomeration of medical science and technology. First of all, I'll just thank INYAS for organizing this competition, because in India, as far as my knowledge, this is the first of it, like 3-minute thesis competition. And what better to convey your science to the general population than this? And I'll also thank my supervisors, Professor Nishan Chakrabarti and Professor Budhaita Mukherjee, for constantly believing in me and letting me take the risks I want. And my parents, my mama is here today, and my other family and friends who let me come here. Now, talking about my research, so I do a lot of clinical work, basically in thalassemia and malaria, because the Indian subcontinent is quite high on thalassemia and malaria. So I won't go into the details because it'll too much little time to speak. But since I see so many young people over here, and 8 years back, I was there and somebody else was here. So I'll just, one thing which lets me do my research, one little quote by Einstein is that imagination and knowledge, like imagination is way greater than knowledge, because knowledge is limited. Your imagination is not. Just let the horses run, because that imagination, you have no clue how powerful is that, what power your imagination has and what it can do. And never, like everybody, like the distinguished speakers just said, that question why and how. Always, even that's the convention of the society. Don't be afraid, because otherwise, how did we have electron, protons, and neutrons? Like there was Dalton's theory, like, okay, atom is not divisible, but somebody questioned it. And maybe after 10 years, we may have subdivisions of even this. And not to be preachy, but yeah, from my 8 years of in science, I started my PhD, but before that, grads and postgrads, you have to love science and you have to be fun in science. Only then you can live in science. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think these bhaias and didis could connect you better, right? And in the after the session, you have lunchtime, and I request all of you to interact with them, because you might have some, feelings not to connect to senior people, dignitaries, but I think they are here for you. Please interact with them and learn more from them. So an event like today is not possible without the support of many. And may I now request Dr. Arvind to thank each one of them.
Yeah, I think when it is a National Science Day, it is an immense, importance for the academy like INSA. And of course, we have a very, very young hands with us as an INYAS. So on behalf of INSA and INYAS, I extend a warm thanks to the chief guest and very dynamic leader who has actually motivated all of us through the question answers and by his own experience and work, Honorable Padma Shri Dr. Anil Kumar Rajvanshi ji. We have a presence of his better half, Dr. Nandini Nimkar. And of course, when it comes to the INSA president, who is always a motivator for all the INSA people, who keeps on guiding. He himself works almost more than 15 hours a day when he is in Delhi in INSA. So this, thanks to our President, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Vice President, Resource Management, Professor Sanjay Suri, Vice President, International Affairs, Professor Naren Mehra. Of course, the dynamic personality who is leading the INYAS, Dr. Rajendra Dhaka, all the important members of INYAS, secretary, and all the executive members who are present in the auditorium, special invitees who are part of this today's function. And of course, I think every speaker underlined that majority of the audience is going to be the leaders of the country tomorrow in any field that you are going to choose. So of course, special thanks to all of you for being part of this National Science Day function. And we will keep on having such kind of functions. We'll give you the opportunities to have more motivations, especially the present and the latest development in science and technology. I also thanks to all my INSA staff who are in a various capacity. They have been delivering their roles in the better way. And thanks to everyone being part of this. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Arvind. So now let's close the session. May I now tell that there is a small refreshment snack box arranged for all the students and the participants that have joined us today. So the crux is like, be like a positron, be positive, be curious, be fearless, and you are not stoppable. So once again, National Science Day wishes to all of you. Thank you. Yeah, we will join outside for a group photo. Yeah, please. On the stairs? Okay.